There we go. We are live. We're live. It's
Oh,
going.
okay.
We did it. I didn't give up.
A- As I did my weird little noise.
As you did your weird little noise, we're live, man, and I'm not gonna jinx it. Um, okay, man. We're. It looks golden.
Yay!
Looks
All
golden.
right, let me share. Hey, let's start from the top, man.
Started from the top. Now we're here. Hey, what's up, everybody? Yeah, Money Blake Weather. Check out all of our sponsors. First off, below Kyle. If you notice, I just kind of put your name in there. Um, Joined by my guest tonight. He's the host of LoudMouth MMA podcast. We've had him on before, pre UFC 207. I've been on his show. He's been on mine, and we had a good time. And yeah, again,
Absolutely.
all of our sponsors. Let me put my finger there. Oh, all them right there. If you like the new setup, click like, click share. This should be like a lot of fun for everybody out there. And yeah, man. Hopefully, all the audio, everything sounded good actually through the levels when I was hearing back on the things. So, and if you're asking why I'm holding this, it's because this is my microphone for tonight. Um, don't ask no more questions beside that. We're gonna get some shit set up. Um, Kyle, brother, how you been, man?
I have been fantastic. Yourself?
Man, I've been good. Happy New Year. I'm gonna.
Yes. Happy New Year.
I'm not doing that joke again. But yeah, man, Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah. You got to go back and listen to the to like the 1 minute clip when
Little
we first tried to
tester.
go live before we had some issues. He popped up with a dad joke, and you know, he did great.
Oh yeah, man. I did. Thank you. Kudos to me. Kudos to me. But
Yeah.
tonight's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about the New Year. It's not even about Mariah Carey and how bad she did last night. That ain't.
Poor Mariah.
I know, man. She can't catch a break. Poor girl, bro. Um, but what tonight is about is how many times Dominic Cruz missed Cody Garbrandt. Let's not even talk about Ronda. Like, we can forget Ronda, right? We can move beyond that, right? We can.
I mean, we can move past it in just a second. We could move past Rhonda in just a second. Do I get the floor here?
I'm gonna let you take over this one, man, because we went back and forth.
All right.
But you know what? Like, before you talk, I will say this: if anybody talks to me long enough, I'll convince them that a midget is the best fighter in the world. I'm an entertainer. I'm an analytic entertainer. I'm an MMA analytic. I'm not.
Oh, you never convinced me. I was never convinced.
I'm talking about the public. Leave me alone, Kyle. Not you. Not you. You knew who you wanted all along, and kudos to you, man. I'll let you start off this one. But yeah, just go ahead and barrage me with all the hate. Let's do it.
I mean, I think I'm owed an apology. I think a public. I mean, I don't know if you have one written up that you want to read, but I feel like I might be owed that. Now, listen, I as soon as this fight was announced, I picked Nunes. I mean, literally instantaneous, and no matter what happened, I didn't shy away from that. And I remember too, in the day or two leading up, right? At the weigh-ins, I mean, Ronda looked incredible. I mean, she was shredded.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the best that she has ever looked. And I remember seeing people over and over again, like posting, like, "Look at how good Ronda looks." I'm like, "Wow, guys, I didn't realize that a few extra crunches magically fixed your boxing."
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah.
I didn't. Um, so yeah, I never was sold on. Listen, I picked Ronda to lose before Holly Holm. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be in such devastating fashion, but the writing was on the wall that once a counter striker and someone who was patient was going to go up against her, that person had a very, very clear path to victory. And I think Holly put a gigantic chink in Ronda's armor, and I don't know. I don't know if that's something that's if she does decide to fight in the UFC again. I almost don't care who she's going up against. I'm picking the other person. If everything stays the same, if she keeps staying with Edmund, if she keeps, you know what I mean? Like, if everything remains the same, you could literally put her in that octagon with anybody that she's fought before. You could put her in there with Misha Tate. I'm picking Misha Tate. I mean, I think every single person can now beat her because that mystique is gone. And once that mystique disappeared, once you realize the path, the very, very simple path that you needed to take to beat her, and also once you realize, like in that Holly Holm fight, how easy it was to rock her. I mean, and Nunes rocked her immediately, which that was shocking to me. I didn't expect that. I mean, it was like the first time that mitt touched her face. I mean, she just like, whoa. I mean, it's like she didn't know that she was going to get punched in the face. I mean, it was crazy. But so I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, I knew that was gonna, that, you know, she was going to get dusted in 48 seconds. Of course not. I'm not even going to pretend. But I definitely saw the writing on the wall there. I mean, I don't think Rousey's ever, if she does decide to stay in the UFC, which I wouldn't blame her. She's 29 years old. I mean, I wouldn't blame her to stay. It's not going to work out for her. I mean, I think everybody at the 135, other than like the bottom tier, you take anybody in the top 10 and they're beating Ronda Rousey right now, period. I mean, I really legitimately think it's that intense. I think she just learned such terrible habits from Coach Edmund, and she deserves a lot of this blame too. A lot of the narrative becomes about Coach Edmund. It's also about Ronda Rousey. It's also about someone who came into, and I'm sorry I'm ranting, but it's also about someone who came into, you know, the UFC basically light years ahead of everybody else. Right? She came into the UFC light years ahead of everybody else. 4 years, I think, ahead of everybody else. The problem was she stayed right here, and everybody else right here, right? She just continued to stay, and if anything, she moved down a little bit, right? If anything, she kind of digressed a little bit. But everybody around her just kept moving up, and now pretty much everybody's past her. I mean, I think everybody pretty much is past her at this point. Put up just about anybody against her, and I think she loses. And I'll end rant.
I will say this, man. Ronda, man, it was. Let me start from the beginning, man. I went back. I've obviously seen that fight. I'm sure you've seen that fight like 1,100 times. I mean, putting it lightly, at least 1,100 times. If you notice in that fight, I don't know who's to blame for this. She never once circled to the right, which is what you're supposed to do against somebody you fight orthodox. She kept circling to the power side of Amanda Nunes all night. Like, I haven't gone back to watch some of her old fights to notice that thing. Like, I've watched all of her fights, obviously. But I haven't gone back to notice if that's something that she does, which is what I'm going to do as soon as we get done with this conversation. Because if that's something that Amanda Nunes saw, great, kudos to her, because she knew she was going to come to that side anyway, so that way she could land powerful shit all night. But if that's something that she just did and prepared for in this fight, god damn it, man. Like, you need a coach that can do that. I get it. Blame Ronda all you want. You know, Edmund can't control her mind. But at the same time, yeah, train the girl properly. Train the girl properly, please. If you're setting her up for a world title fight and you know that all eyes are on her, like Tupac, set her up for a win. Please, can you please do that? Man, it's just so frustrating trying to be a Ronda fan. And kudos to Nunes, because I believe I said too, I'm like, it could win in the first round for either fighter. I was the first one to say that. I'm not saying I went for Nunes. I was just saying it could go in the first round for either fighter. You know what I mean? And in this instance, it did, man. And there's really, I think you put it best. There's not much to say. Nunes looked great. I just think, in a business sense, and I don't care who I offend by what I'm about to say, because it's not offensive. Like, this is business talk, what I'm about to say. You don't want a bridge troll as your champion. You want a beautiful person that can fight. But where is a beautiful person that can fight? I need a beautiful person that can fight. Kat Zingano, come get this rematch. Juliana Pena, Come get this title fight. Come on. I need to see some beauty, just from a business sense. I am not taking away. Amanda Nunes is a great fighter. I think she's got great striking, great camp, great everything. This is not taken away from her skills. If you notice, and I'm gonna put it like this: if you notice, Joanna and Jacek, she came in kind of looking like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, and now they've kind of dolled her up. They've kind of dolled her. They made her go to like modeling, and like, oh, she looks like so gorgeous in like these UFC photos with the belt. Like she looks on a point scale, she went from a 4 to like 7. Like if you've been drinking, like she looks a lot better. She looks a way world better than she came in looking. And if that's what UFC is gonna do, if they're gonna market Nunes and like market him to like the, hey, we've got our first like let people know this is your first lesbian champion. Like pull that crowd in. Hey, this is our first Brazilian lesbian champion. Let's amp that up. Work with that. Work with that on the. I'm talking marketing right now. I'm not talking skill wise. Do that. Either do that or get yourself a beautiful champion, a pretty girl. I'm not saying Ronda had a little chicken nugget on her face, but I look past that. I don't give a fuck. Like she still gets some pipe. You know what I'm saying? She's still beautiful. Bisha Tate was even a good looking girl. So I'm just saying, like from a business sense, that needs to happen. But kudos to Amanda Nunes, not taking away anything from her skills. She did fantastic. She did what she needed to do. She saw what the opening was, and she came, she saw, she conquered. What else can I say, man?
Yeah, and I don't even, for me personally, I don't even worry about all that other stuff. I mean, I think I think she'll be marketable if she dominates. I don't think it matters what she looks like. I think if she dominates, it won't matter. I mean, what's sad though is that, and I'm not saying that you're saying that this is how it's supposed to be.
Right.
I'm not saying that that's what you're assuming, but it is sad that that is how it works. I mean, legitimately, if you're pretty, right, you're gonna get bigger fights. You're gonna get on bigger cards. Paige Van Zant and Michelle Watterson had absolutely no business headlining. Not only did they headline a card, they headlined a card where Uriah Faber was in his pre-announced last fight. The guy who invented little people UFC, right? Like the guy who invented the 135 division.
Yeah.
That guy's pre-announced last fight was the third to last fight. Above him was Sage Northcutt, Mickey Gall, for some ungodly reason.
Because Sage is a beautiful looking. At the top, beautiful looking.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it should not be that way. But yeah, I mean.
But when you have now an entertainment group that now owns the UFC in WNG, WEM, whoever the fuck, in IMG, they're an entertainment group. Yeah, WME, IMG, you know what I'm talking about. When you have somebody like that, you're looking at not just who your champion is, but which angle can I market them? Which way can what demographic can I hit? You know what I'm saying? And and that's quite honestly the way this is. I get it. Amanda Nunes is a great fighter. I mean, she convinced me that she's a great fighter. I knew she was, but I didn't. I mean, I'm a Ronda fan, through and through. But quite honestly, like that's the next move for the UFC. It's like either we're gonna market her, or we need to match her up with somebody who's got beauty and who can get the belt away from her, so we can market this next person as the golden child and of the UFC, and then hit that demographic. Like quite honestly, from a business sense, that's all I'm speaking from. I'm not even going to talk about Amanda Nunes' skill because we saw 48 seconds of it. We've seen longer before. But yeah, man, that's really all I have to say about that. Is this is something that people aren't talking about, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. Like they from a business sense, either market her correctly, or get you a champion that you can market. That's easy to market. Beautiful, got fight skills, and will hang on to the belt for a while. I don't think her skill will. When has a champion who's had skill, quite honestly, been the one that's Oh, you're superseding. You're doing great. I mean, I guess maybe Anderson Silva, but even a bigger draw than him was the Lady Killer, the Canadian Lady Killer, GSP. He pulled in even bigger numbers because he's a good-looking cat, man. I'm not gay. I'm just saying he's a good-looking cat. Uh, you want good-looking Anthony Pettis. Look what they did with him. Good-looking kid, man. Got him on a Wheaties box, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, they want these good-looking kids being their champion, or they want an angle that they could market them, like GSP with Canada, like Kane with the Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? Either market your champion correctly, or get somebody else that can replace them and that you can market. That's all I'm saying, man. I know that doesn't have too much to do with this, but it kind of does in the long scheme of things. Am I right? I mean, are you disagreeing with
I feel you. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't disagree. I think it's unfortunate that it's true. I mean, I think that's why I'm shaking my head. It's just because it's true. I mean, that's how this is now. I mean, there's no. It is what it is, I guess. There's nothing's going to change it. I'll tell you that.
Right.
Nothing's changing that model. If anything, when you buy and or sell, depending on which end you are, a company for $4.5 billion, yeah, you're going to start treating that thing like wrestling, like WWE. I mean, that's what you're going to start doing. And it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, we got some comments
I mean,
in. We got some comments in on Facebook. I didn't even know that. Shout outs to Roberto. Shout outs to Keith Robert. Shout outs to Darren Starling. So let's see, man. We got Roberto Villa. Obviously, he's never been a fan of Ronda. He was going for Holly Holm because he's from Albuquerque. He was going for Holly Holm. He called the Holly Holm fight. He said Ronda's a one-trick pony. Holly exposed her. News capitalized on that. Yeah, I agree with that. We got Darian Sterling saying maybe the UFC should market her as a villain. That's a good angle. If Ronda retires, they could take the angle that she is a person who retires everybody. Yeah, Misha Tate. I mean, even though it took a fight after that for Misha Tate, and then Ronda. So basically, retired Misha also. Yeah, Darian, you're absolutely right. And Keith says Rousey is scissors, and she ran into Rock. Well, that's. If this is rock paper scissors, well then, yeah, I'd agree with that, man. I like that analogy.
If it's rock paper scissors, then she ran into a piece of TNT.
She ran into some diamond. She ran into some granite. Whatever you want to call it, man. But I mean, there's nothing.
But yeah, I mean, marketing. Well, the problem is you can't. So to answer Darian, the problem is you can't really market Amanda as the heel, which is essentially what that is. That's the wrestling terminology.
Yeah.
The heel. You can't really market her as the heel because she's not. I mean, she is a very nice person who, before and after, the only time that she was even remotely, was doing something that was remotely construed as being mean and or kind of heelish was basically just being blunt because she was, I think, pissed off. She was pissed off the way she was treated. She was pissed off at the way that Ronda acted toward her. And even then, ripe with opportunity to say whatever she wanted, she really didn't say anything that bad. And she had ample opportunity to do it. I don't know if her being the heel is really going to help. I think what's going to help is I legitimately think the person you saw fight Shevchenko, this is not her. This is a transcended individual. I think that because let's just talk. I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but you have the Shevchenko Pena fight coming up, right? Whoever wins out of that is fighting Amanda Nunes, right? I mean,
absolutely.
There's really nobody else to do it, and I think she beats both of those people. I think she beats Shevchenko much more decisively than she did the prior time. And I think she mops the floor with Pena. So I think she's keeping the belt for a while. And I think if she defends that belt 4 or 5 times, that's your marketing strategy. That's how you market her. She defends her belts over and over again. That's the strategy. And I think that she's the person to do it. We'll see. Look at where we were at the beginning of 2016. Think about who your champions were. Think about what Sage Northcutt was. Think about what Paige Van Zant was, right? Look back to Louis Samoka, right? Like, look back to the beginning of 2016, and now at the end, like, look at Robbie Lawler. You know what I mean? Lost and hadn't fought again. You know what I mean? Like, there's the landscape changes so quickly.
Yeah.
We could have 6 new champs, right? This time next year or whatever. So I don't know. But I think your marketing strategy is she needs to go in there and dominate. And I think she can, because there's not a lot of talent there. Once you get outside the top like 6, 7, it's pretty bleak. So we'll see. And now you're creating the 145 division, which means you're going to pull even more people from that 135 that already isn't very stacked. And if they create a 125, which I think they should, because I don't like people cutting weight, so I have no problem with the 125 and 145. But, man, you're going to be real talent-stricken. I mean, it's going to be – if you have a 115 through 145, it's basically going to be like top 3, and that's it, in all those divisions. So we'll see.
We'll see, man. And we got, again, Keith Roberts saying Nunes is nice to be a villain. She could be they could angle her. The women's Anderson Silva is the angle to market her. Maybe we need to see some more wins, but maybe. Like if she goes on an 8-fight win streak and they say this is the girl that killed Misha Tate's career and the girl that killed Ronda Rousey's career. Yeah.
Yep.
The career killer / just gangster from Brazil who's a lesbian, so whatever, like I think that's a strong demographic they could hit.
Which her being in again, part of your podcast MO is not being afraid to talk about stuff. So her being a lesbian is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's the first, basically it's going to be your first openly gay champion. And that's a big deal in sports because that's something that's been transcending a lot. So I don't think they should take that marketing angle because that's not what you should be doing. But that is going to be kind of that underground story, I think. And encouraging people to come out and so on and so forth. So I think that'll at least help her clout, so to speak, in a kind of an odd way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think her best marketing tool is she needs to keep working, keep being dominant. I don't think the cardio thing's an issue, but we're going on too long. But yeah, I think she's going to dominate. That's all I'm saying. I think she wins at least her next fight. I don't think either Shevchenko or Pena beat her, and that's who she's fighting next. So
I mean, I give Pena, if Pena wins it, I give her a good. She's gritty as fuck. She can take a punch. Bitch is bad.
I suppose I give Pena a better shot just because I think Shevchenko. Oh, I don't even know who that is, Keith. So that may very well be true, but I don't even know who that person is.
Murilo Bustamante. He was one of the early welterweight champions in UFC. He was also he fought in Pride, and I don't think he was openly gay though, Keith. Murilo Bustamante, man, old school jiu-jitsu guy. I want to say what's his name? Pat Miletich beat him to get the welterweight title. Actually,
I know that. I know the name Pat Miletich, but I don't know
Murilo Bustamante.
Now okay, but so as I said, Bustamante went okay. Never mind. Like that name does ring a.
I think of the way you spell it, and then you're like, what the fuck?
Oh,
what the fuck is
okay.
That?
So apparently it was Keith. Keith was making a joke. So that's
yeah. Okay.
There you go. Make this go on side conversations.
No, it's all good. Funny. It's all good. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
we had to.
Hey, and Kyle, once you on your thing, does it lag? Does it lag on your if you're looking at it on your computer? If anybody, if it's lagging, I'm sorry. We can always fix this. I'm just looking at it on my phone. Does it look okay? Okay.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware.
Okay, cool. All right, keep the questions coming. And anybody who's watching this, if you could please share it, so that way everybody else can see us talk some shit. That would be great. But yeah, man. Again, I think we're kind of done with Nunes and Rousey, and I will give kudos to you, my friend. I ate some crow, and you know what? This is a sport where you're gonna eat some crow sometimes, and it's not gonna be, you got to eat your broccoli. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I was yelling about how Cruz was going to pull that win off in
We
like the
both
fourth
were.
round.
We both were.
Dude, I was clinging to it all the way to the end, man. Ride or die. I'm like, there's like 30 seconds left in the fifth round. I'm like, Cruz can still take it, guys. Cruz can still take it.
I was too, but here's the reason why. So I had a huge gathering of people. I had like 30 people at my house, dude, and I live in a duplex, and so you could imagine, man, like it's nuts to butts.
Kieran, real quick, let me just do a side. So Kieran, first of all, Kieran, welcome to the chat. Make sure to share this video so that way everybody can watch it. Okay. So, and Roberto too, but so I can only vouch for Kieran because that's the only one I remember. The whole time was on Cody. So this is what I'm saying. Like, we need to get into this fight. Let's talk about Cody. Yeah, we need to talk about this fight. So Kieran was the whole time was talking about no love from moment one.
Okay.
So kudos to you, my friend. I said on the podcast what I said on the Fight Companion, which was that I did not visibly see a pathway for Garbrandt to win. Now, here's the thing, Kieran, because here's the thing that people keep like to forget when this stuff, even when they get stuff right, they like to go, oh yeah, I knew that person was going to win. If anybody sits here and tells me that they thought Cody Garbrandt was going to win a 5-round decision against Dominic Cruz, fuck you. Like, you didn't.
Yeah,
Nobody
no,
did.
no.
Cody Garbrandt, no, he was going to win a 5-round decision against Dominic Cruz. So I was right in a sense. Like I'm digging myself a hole. I'm gonna dig this hole. I was right in a sense, which is that I did not think that Garbrandt was going to knock out Cruz. Now, he ended up knocking him down like 12 times,
Yeah.
but, I mean, he knocked him down, what, 3 times?
4 times.
His stats, so going into that fight, I don't know if you knew this, going into that fight, he had more knockdowns than he did professional fights. And that's crazy. He's one of the few people. Conor McGregor is another guy,
Yeah.
right? There's only like 2 or 3 of them in the UFC who have that kind of odd little thing on their record, more knockdowns in professional fights, and he just added to that in a huge way, and he won. Dude, right now, Cody Garbrandt is fighter of the year, and to me, it's not even a question. I mean, he went from unranked, nobody knows who the hell he is in January, to beating Dominic Cruz in a way that, I mean, he made Dominic Cruz look like he had no clue what he was doing and had no business being in there.
So let me touch on that point real quick, and I'm going to vouch for also Roberto Villa. I know him very well, and I know he was going for Cody No Love. So shout outs to Roberto. And also, real quick to close out the point, Keith Roberts said Bustamante was a middleweight, Miletich was a welterweight. Okay, he probably was. I've been drinking, so I might get it. I might get a thing or two wrong, but you know what? I'm okay with it. But anyways. I had in my company my good friend Nick the Ghost Gonzalez, who's a pro MMA fighter. He fought recently on the Bellator card here in Austin, or Cedar Park. It's fucking North Austin. It's all Austin. But the one that had Czech Congo, Tony Johnson, which it was funny because I'm going to go off on a tangent. I'm going to bring it back. That was a horrible fight, and Nick's fight was the no-show fight. They didn't show them anywhere on the TV because it was after. And it was actually like fight of the night. Like, it was an amazing fight. But anyway, so Nick the Ghost is my good friend. And he trained 5 camps at Alliance with Dominic Cruz. He was brought in as a training partner for Joseph Benavidez fight, Ian McCall fight, Demetrius Johnson fight, the Uriah Faber fight, and also as the Uriah Faber Part 3 that was supposed to happen in like late 2011, 2012, but where he pulled out. He was all in those camps. So I'm watching a fight with a guy who is actually friends with Dominic Cruz. He knows Eric Del Fierro. He knows Alliance. And as I'm watching it, I was about round 3 after the knockdowns. I was like, "Yo, Nick, what do you think, man?" He's like, "He's defeated mentally." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude?" Like, I'm still pulling for Cruz. I'm like, "He's still got 2 more rounds." He's like, "No." When I would make him miss in camp, he would get so frustrated, and I'd make him miss a lot. So they should have brought in somebody quicker. Who they brought in was Jeremy Stevens, who gets hit a lot more often than he doesn't get hit. So I'm like, I get it. Like, he's a power puncher. He's quick. He's, kind of around the same. He's, 10 pounds up, whatever, But he's like, they brought in the wrong guy. He's like, when he would miss in camp, he would get frustrated, and then he would forget. He'd throw the game plan out the window, and that's exactly like from round 4 and 5 on. It was a unique experience, and that you're with somebody who's trained with this person, breaking down minute for minute, moment for moment, as Cody Garbrandt is succeeding. And I don't know if I can explain this in words. Like, I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. Like, as far as emotionally, like, it was just so fascinating as I'm watching this fight. I'm not even paying attention to Joe Rogan's commentary. I'm listening to Nick tell me everything that's going to happen as it happens. He's like, he's going to miss, he's going to get more frustrated. He's going to do this, he's going to get more frustrated. He's going to try and take down, he's going to get more frustrated. He's going to get knocked down again. And I'm just like, God damn it, man. Like, I get it, but like I didn't want to stop him either, because who has this experience with somebody? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a rare experience, and it was just so sad when the decision got pulled for him. But he was calling it, third round. He was like, he's mentally checked out, and I didn't believe him, but he really was. He really was, man.
What round was it when Cody did the hammer time, where he dodged like 10 punches and did hammer time?
It was seven consecutive punches, and it was the third round.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were. The thing was, they weren't just like your normal, uppercut, left hook. Like, they were from angles, like 3 or 4 different angles where the combos were being thrown, and Cody dodged every single one of them. And he's like, that frustrates Dom the most, when he can't land out of the angle. And I'm like, fuck, dude, he just missed like 1,800 shots.
Yeah, I mean, Cody put on a clinic. A clinic. I mean, good for him. Good for him. I mean, good for him.
And again, everybody I know that picked Cody had him, of course, by knockout. Like, and every analytic,
everybody did.
Even Robin Black.
Somebody show me proof. If somebody out there watches this and they picked Cody Garbrandt to win by decision, show me proof. Yeah. There's no way that was not a pathway that I mean, even right now, it's hard to even imagine it. But I mean, true or false? I said this at the very beginning. True or false? And I'm an Ohio boy, so I'm excited about Cody.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm all about it, man. I'm all about it. Oh yeah, Keith, we will get to that, my friend. But yeah, I being an Ohio boy, I love that Cody's there, because now, guess what, dude? There's a pathway. You get a Stipe who's from Cleveland, a Stipe Cody card in Ohio now. I mean, that would be awesome up there in Cleveland again. They were in Cleveland for 203, so for that great CM Punk card. By the way, CM Punk lasted about twice as long as Ronda Rousey did against Amanda Nunes. So good for CM Punk.
Let's stop with the Ronda talk. Let's stop with the. My butt still hurt. Wait, you know what?
I know, right?
I had everybody here, and I was mentally checked out when Dom lost. Like, I could give a fuck less.
My butt's hurt from. I just literally, like, I could not have been more decisive in what I was saying. That I was like, I went on this rant on my breakdown show about how I thought it was ridiculous that anybody was even considering
Peach
Cody
was
Garbrandt.
Like, yep. Peach Pratt was like, yep.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, there's no way that this person can do this, and this is just 2 different classes, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. I mean, in my defense, again, even if you thought Cody was going to pull off the flash knockout, you were not expecting him to look that way.
No.
I mean, he surpassed any and all expectations that were upon him, and good for him. I want to see good fights. I don't give a shit about being right. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And in fact, I had picked everything else so right because I drew a hard line on T.J. Dillashaw and Amanda Nunes on DraftKings, where most people were going literally the exact opposite of that. More people were picking Lineker for some reason. That was the one I really couldn't understand. Was Lineker one? That one I couldn't understand at all. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm cool with being wrong with stuff, like, as long as it's a good fight. And as long as you see something you didn't see before going in. I'm a little concerned that that might have been a mirage. Um, I'm a little concerned that might have been a mirage. Wilkrick, Keyron, it's no love, TJ. There's no way the UFC does a Cruz 2. I don't think Cruz wants to do an immediate rematch anyway, to be honest with
But
you.
to touch on that point, Kieran, and also you, Kyle, like, if they, who do they put Dominic Cruz with? Like, like, honestly, I think that they should do a TJ fight, right? But then you sit back, and you're,
Cruz Lineker.
I was thinking that. I was thinking Cruz Lineker or what I think is going to be better, Cruz Dotson. Cruz Dotson.
Yeah.
Like, they could angle that a lot better.
Would rather see that.
I would too.
I would rather see that. Dotson's also coming off a loss. So you have a guy coming off a loss, and that fight seems more fresh to me for some reason.
Yes, exactly.
Because he just with that. Yeah, I'm cool with that. So I would say, first of all, it's no love TJ. There's no reason to do it any other way because they have bad blood. I think the bad blood's overplayed.
And it's scary because they kind of don't. Like,
blood.
TJ was like, I'm still cool with the alpha male guys. I'm still cool with Cody. Like, it's
overblown, but it's at least a storyline that the UFC is going to desperately cling to in their promos.
And TJ is that guy who's like, and I know people that know him. Of course, the On It here is in Austin. You know what I'm saying? So I know a lot of the On It guys, and they hang out with TJ. He was down here shortly before Thanksgiving, partying at a house, like drinking shots and shit. And so, like, when I saw him do as well as he did, I was just like, God damn, like, boy, like, you can party and still keep it, like, and I don't know, man. I'm not gonna dig too deep into that, but I'm just saying, it's TJ is such a nice guy that he would be like, no, I don't have any beef, Ariel. Like, I'm friends with Cody. He's a good friend. It sucks I'm gonna have to fight him. What's his name? He's gonna say Dwayne's making a great game plan. I'm gonna stick to it. But we're good friends. Like, that's all he's gonna say. I have this feeling like he's gonna be like, there's no beef, but it's a fight. I have to go in there. I want to get my title back. I think that's gonna be.
Yeah. Well, and Cody did a really good job playing the heel. Talk about playing the heel, as we were talking about earlier. Cody did a masterful job.
He did.
I really thought.
Yeah.
Because I thought he fooled me. I thought he was the heel. I really, really did. I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And when he brought that little boy out and put the belt around him, I got duped. I thought this dude was the heel. I thought he was the heel, and the whole time I got duped. So, and that's cool. Again, you can't hate the guy, man. You can't hate the guy. Like, so fantastic. And Ohio boy, I can't hate him. Keith said, bring Mirais in. 100%. 100%. He's a free agent.
Oh, yeah.
Free agent. He just dusted. What was it? Ronaldo Silva? Is that his name?
That might be the guy.
I'm not looking it up. Fact check that for me, Keith. The guy that he just fought at 34. But I actually talked to Ray Steffo and Justin Gagey before that. But anyway, so yeah, bring Marlon Moraes in. Marlon Moraes.
I like Marlon Moraes, man.
I'm all about that.
One of the most highly underrated 135ers.
Well, him and Justin Gagey too. I mean, the problem with Justin Gagey is that he stops way too many punches with his face. I mean,
do you know why this is? I'm going to tell you, like, there's actual reason why this is, and it's not having to do with anything other than what I'm about to point out. If you've ever seen him in interviews, or if you've ever seen him when they catch him TMZ style, and I don't want to say TMZ, but like they catch him in the streets, he wears prescription glasses. He can literally not see in front of him without glasses. I don't know if he's nearsighted or farsighted, but Brendan Schaub was talking about this last year on his podcast. He's like, dude, I got LASIK. I didn't tell no fucking body. He's like, what Gaethje should do is try to get some LASIK and not tell nobody, because he wears these thick bottle fucking grandma glasses, and he takes these hits because I don't think he can see. I get they put him through physical, but I honestly don't think he can see these punches coming in, and that's why if you ever notice it, he keeps people against the cage and he throws them. He's great in the clinch. He's great when he can touch you. It's like kind of like Wing Chun, kind of like you need to be close in order to get your offense off, and he'll grab you, and when you start throwing and landing on him, that's when he'll clinch you, or that's when he'll take you down, and he's got great wrestling to do so. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how he fights. He fights like somebody and now that you know, he's got eye problems, and so.
Well, and he fights like, and so that makes sense, which is really cool. And then in addition to that, he also has this attitude about him, which is, DGAF, right? I mean, like straight up, man, straight up does not care. You know what I mean? And he just goes in there, balls blazing, if that's a phrase, which I don't think it is, but he goes in there balls blazing. It's a saying now.
We got it.
Put that on your little dashboard there. Balls blazing up in the top right.
Put it on a shirt. Let's get some money off of it.
I mean, he goes in there, just engage. He goes in there balls blazing. That's gonna be his new tagline.
Keith verified it. It is Ronaldo Silva, man. Good call on that.
Very nice.
Very nice. Very nice. But yeah, man. Coming back full circle though, we were doing Dominic Cruz, Garbrandt.
Yeah, Cody Cruz.
Yeah, it was what it was, and you know what? I'm glad that kind of I was talking to my friend who was actually going for Cody, and he called it by knockout. He was with the party, but I was like, you know what? I'm kind of happy to see Cruz lose to Garbrandt, not lose, but lose to Garbrandt, because it's scary how much he's going to come back from this and probably get the belt very soon. Like, it's scary. It's scary the amount of realism that he lives with. Like, anybody who saw that post fight that he gave, hands down, one of the best post fights I think you're ever going to get out of a fighter. He was so real. Yeah. He was honest with himself, and he was honest with everybody else. Like, what more can you ask for out of somebody who just
That's
lost
how you
a title
lose,
fight?
Man.
Yeah, him and Conor.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Conor, the embodiment of, if you're going to lose like that.
This is how you lose.
Yeah.
And if you lose this way, it allows you to come back. I think he can get that belt back. I think he can get it back pretty easy. I mean, maybe not easy, but you know what I mean? Like, I think he can get that belt back. Although just because I like sticking my foot in my mouth twice, I'm going TJ. I'm going TJ over Garbrandt. So
I am too.
We'll see.
I am too, actually. And not because Garbrandt beat Cruz, but because Garbrandt beat Cruz.
Well, I'm going TJ over Garbrandt, and I also think it's better for the UFC because it's a better storyline.
Yeah.
Because TJ should have been fighting Dominic Cruz for a second time anyway. So I think it worked out to be a better storyline.
But
yeah, now it's cool. I'm cool. Obviously, we were all fucking dead wrong that he was skipping a 9 because he apparently is the real deal. But so Kieran, you heard it here, man. As of this second right here, I'm going TJ. I'm going TJ when that fight happens. Yeah, Cruz is incredible, man. Cruz is incredible. I think TJ is gonna. I think Dillashaw is gonna get his chance. The problem with TJ, because you're talking about ugly fighters, TJ is a ugly son of a bitch. He's got that like.
But he's got that. He's
an ugly dude.
But he got the Cali swag, like that kind of like, hey bro, like hey dude, bro.
No.
He got Cali swag, which will take you.
All right.
It'll take you somewhere. But you know what? Of the two, Cody is a good looking guy with tattoos.
Right.
They put him on a.
Now I'm also saying, I'm also not comparing TJ to myself. I get that. I look like a mountain troll, so I'm not trying to compare myself to that. But I do believe that part of TJ's marketability. One, he also when he talks, he doesn't come across as the smartest guy in the world.
Well, no.
He's not the most well spoken of people.
He's not.
But that's an ugly motherfucker too, and that doesn't help.
Yeah, he's not. I know a lot of girls that would be like, I like the blonde hair, I like the good, But you know what? I know a lot more girls that would be like, Cody is sexy. He's got the tattoos. He's got the jawline. Like Cody. Let's put it like this, man. If Cody was on a UFC calendar, there's some girls walking around with their rabbits. That I'm saying, late at night. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Rabbits late at night.
That's all I'm saying. Anybody, rabbit. Not the
Hey,
animal.
balls blazing, man. I got
Balls
you.
Blazing podcast. That's what we're doing anytime me and Kyle get together. I'm switching that logo
That's
right
the
up at the top.
yeah. We could do like how Hawani does the, they do the MMA hour. So he has the MMA hour, then they do like the MMA beat.
Yeah.
Where it's the other people. So we'll get you, me, and Keith. We'll all sit down. We'll do the Balls Blazing podcast once a week.
Yeah, I like that, man. I'm not mad at that, man, because we're better than them, anyways. And funnier. And better. I'm better looking than all of them.
I'll let you. Era Hawani might be my hero.
I like him, but he talks in this monotone sense, and he's not as funny as me.
Well, he sounds like he should be on NPR. Like if MMA had
he's
a
the MMA NPR guy.
Yeah, and like if MMA had like an NPR analyst, it would be Era Hawani for sure.
It would be him, yeah. But you know what? I'm not mad at him. Yeah, I like him. I like Luke Thomas. I'm better looking and funnier. But whatever, man. They'll see in 2017. But and I'm not scared to admit it. I'm just that ballsy. But yeah, man, we covered that fight, and let's move on. We kind of slicked ourselves right into Lineker, Dillashaw, T.J. Dills, man.
I mean, T.J. Dillashaw did exactly what he was supposed to do, and that's it. That's really all that needs to be said. I mean, that was exactly how that fight was supposed to look. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's all I'll say. I mean, go ahead.
I mean, I'm gonna light the cigarette real quick, but
John Lineker, while you're lighting that cigarette, John Lineker is probably more one-dimensional than I imagined. I knew he was one-dimensional going into that fight. I don't think I realized to what extent he was one-dimensional.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
man. If you don't play his game plan, if you don't play his game plan, he's got nothing for you. And John Dodson is a guy that will play that game plan because he's got that little man. He's a great, nice guy. I met him when I was in Jackson's.
He's got Napoleon syndrome.
Yeah.
He'll try to. Well, the problem was he didn't do it. So he actually kind of did the opposite, where he tried to get away from it too much. Where TJ took some shots from Lineker.
He didn't care.
Lineker does not. Lineker does not hit as hard as people think he does. Go back and watch those fights. When he's knocking people out, they're TKOs because he is extremely fast. He's not knocking people out with sheer power, right? That's Garbrandt. Garbrandt is the kind of one shot you're on your ass guy. Lineker is I'm going to punch you 15 times. He's the swarmer. Exactly. So exactly. That's the literal exact amount. Yeah, he is the swarmer in boxing terms. So but yeah, I mean, he is. If he can't get that, if he is unable to work in that game plan, there's nothing he can do.
Right.
I mean, he's just that's it. He's a one-trick pony.
And to touch on your point, I'm going to touch on your point. He not only hits you in the head, but there was a good breakdown from Rapid MMA. I got to get that guy on. That guy knows what the fuck he's talking about. But he sets up his headshots with body shots. So he goes, he'll go like left hook body, right hook head, and so he'll not only like hit your head, but he'll take the breath out of you and then hit you in the head, which makes the impact even more multiplied. Like if this is Pokemon, if this is a game, Magic or something, you're putting that multiplier on there, and then
name drop Magic.
I'm name dropping card games that I'm familiar with. That's all I'm saying, man. I've played both.
I've played Magic for a long time, man.
But you know what I'm talking about. You get a multiplier. You know what I'm saying? That multiplies your damage. That's that. You get a body shot on somebody before you hit him in the head. You've just multiplied the headshot 2 times, 3 times more, and it makes it look more stunning than it is. All they show in the highlights is that second shot, the one that knocked the guy down. They didn't show the shots that set up that power hit. And John Lineker is a body finder and a head finder, but he couldn't. He got the head off. He couldn't get the body off. He got the body off. He couldn't get the head off. And TJ every time switching levels took him down. And oh my God, what a great top game! Like Jesus Christ, man! Like it was scary there. Like
Dillashaw, we knew. Well, yeah, and we knew that Dillashaw is not one-dimensional. You know, he's definitely shown that. I still stand by what I said. Dillashaw's a Bobo Cruz, right? He's just a kind of less good. That's not really the right way to put it, but he's He's a not as good Cruz.
Yeah.
with with but with more power. I think Dillashaw has more power than Cruz. I don't know by how much. But I mean, he certainly has more power at this current phase in their career.
And so to touch on that point too, what he does is it's a similar style to TJ. Like I hate it and I like it when Joe Rogan, when they say Mike Goldberg's like, Joe, he's got a similar style to Dominic Cruz, and Joe's like, well, not exactly. They're different, and I get it. They're different because on it sponsors it sponsored Alpha
Right.
Male. Like he's got but in all actuality, they are similar and different at the same time. They're similar in the sense he works the footwork in, but what he also does, what makes him more powerful that Dom doesn't do, is he plants his feet as he throws the punches, which anybody who knows anything day one stand-up, you plant your feet to land your power hits. That's what you do. And TJ does this more than Dominic Cruz, which is why Dominic Cruz outpointed him, quite honestly. This is why doing it to somebody like Renan Barão, the footwork messes with his head. He's like discombobulated, and as you sit down in those split seconds, you hit him with these power punches, and now you've crushed him. This is what TJ does. He'll sit down on his punches in these split seconds. Like it's very minute, and unless you're breaking his footage down, you don't see it. But this is what makes him, like, this is why he's more powerful. It's the footwork, but he also plants down on his feet and fucking throws these power punches. And to touch on Keith Robert, Lineker gets a KO because of the body work. Yep, I'm glad you see it too. Like, that's exactly what he does. But yeah, TJ is the Bizarro kind of Dominic Cruz, and he did
The Bizarro. I like
the
that.
Bizarro.
I like
That's
that.
what he is, man. He's a kind of a little more retarded version of Dominic Cruz. Like,
Hey man, I let you say all that stuff. That's all you.
You know what, man? But I feel like, in the sense, he needs Dwayne Bank to be his Matt Hume. You know what I'm saying? Like, Matt Hume is to Demetrius Johnson what Dwayne Bank is to TJ Dillashaw. Like, TJ doesn't want to talk about the game plan. TJ doesn't talk in front of the mic. He's not a talker, just like Demetrius Johnson is. They're not talkers, but they are very much controlled by the coaches, and they are the perfect video game characters to the video game players that are the coaches. Like, I think that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, summed about up. I mean, again, TJ just did exactly what he was supposed to do. I mean, it really is just that simple. If you look at that fight on paper, if you look at the kind of one trick pony that John Lineker is, and you look at Dillashaw's skill set, Dillashaw's skill set is avoiding a guy like Lineker. That's literally what his skill set is avoiding getting hit by a guy like Lineker.
Yep.
And he's just so much better at that than basically everybody else in the bantamweight, except for Cruz, and apparently except for Garbrandt. But we only saw it one time.
Right.
That's the only time he has ever looked like that. So I'd like to see that again, because that could be a flash in the pan. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, if it's not, that's fine. I'm not saying it's going to be, but I just I got to see that again before I really go all in. You know what I mean?
To hit on our points, TJ has become, and I just had this revelation, he is the Brazilian swarmer killer. If you're a Brazilian swarmer, if you're a Barão, if you're in a Sunsao, if you're a Lineker, you're a Brazilian swarmer, TJ is your kryptonite. Don't fight him.
Yeah.
If you're Brazilian and you're a swarmer, don't fight him. Like, fight anybody else.
And subsequently Cruz. I mean,
Yeah.
guys who are constantly moving, guys who constantly level change, guys with good wrestling. I mean, those guys are you're not gonna ever get the space, and you're never gonna get the timing necessary to do what you need to do. Unless they're grapplers that push you up against a cage,
Yeah.
because then you can like flip them around and use that. But other than that, yeah, I mean, if they're a middle of the ring kind of guy, which I think Cruz and Dillashaw are,
Yeah.
right? Like they're not putting their backs up against the cage and fighting.
They're ring
like,
controllers.
They're
Ring controllers. They control the ring.
Exactly. Yeah, so you're much better at that terminology than I am. But yeah, so unless you're the anti that, yeah, I mean,
fuck with him.
It's
Don't fuck
not.
with him.
You're not gonna have a good day. Yeah, you're not gonna have a good day.
And shout outs to my
Oh,
sponsor,
what else?
Eric Sat. Shout out to my sponsor, Eric Sat with NOP Media. And again, anybody who's watching this, share it with your friend, tag a friend. We're trying to get the word out for
Please
me
do.
and Kyle. Yeah. If you know what, me and Kyle, man, I like this guy, man. He just got 3K views. I ain't never did that on my video. I'm so happy for Kyle. Kyle, man, big shout outs to what you're doing, brother. Again, I think me and you changing the game in our own different ways. You are the Mike Goldberg to my Joe Rogan, and I definitely appreciate it, man. I definitely.
Speaking of Mike Goldberg, that was a good, perfect transition.
Let's do on that right now.
That's a perfect transition. Let's get into Goldie. So Keith had mentioned earlier, I don't remember exactly what he said, but the fact that it was almost more awkward because nobody talked about it.
No one.
Like nobody said anything.
No one.
And if they did, I missed it.
No. I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole card. I was in the kitchen.
About the credits. Did you watch the credits? Which I don't even know. Are there credits on pay-per-view?
Yeah, there are credits on pay-per-view. They do like production credits and writer credits or whatever the fuck. I didn't see. I
heard somebody say the credits. I heard somebody say they talked about it in the credits or something.
Who the fuck is
but
I didn't credits?
I didn't even know that pay-per-views had credits.
They do have
so
credits.
I didn't know that was
credits. But
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
I don't. And who gives a fuck about nobody? Nobody turns it off. Like everybody's walking out of the bar when the credits are rolling. They're going to the next place. I watched the whole thing from start to finish, and there was not one mention of Mike Goldberg being his last commentator.
Awkward as hell, man.
Awkward.
Maybe, right? It makes you feel weird. Like you're watching it and you're weird. You're like, why are they like? You know what I mean? Like I don't even. It's like you're. It's like I don't even know what to compare. I was gonna bring divorce into it and the whole. I'm not trying to go there, but.
But it's kind of.
I mean,
like
it's
that.
just like you're watching it and you're like, why are they not talking about this gigantic elephant in the room? You know, they're just acting like. I guess it's because they had a job to do, right? Rogan, they're not trying to get into some personal conversation as they're trying to commentate not only a pay-per-view but a huge pay-per-view, right? I mean, this is gonna. Anyone who thought that Ronda not doing marketing was gonna hurt pay-per-view buys, you are about to get a whole lot of shocked, because I bet you this card did extremely well.
Probably over a million. Probably over a million. I mean.
Yeah, I bet you this card did
900,000
incredible.
a million. Yeah.
Goldberg said some guy's names. It says something like, "No matter what, you will always be my family." That's what Keith just said. So he did at least address it at the end there, but barely. I mean, that's just awkward.
Yeah,
that's
burly,
weird to me.
Burly.
I want to know. So I talked to Jimmy Smith today.
Okay. How'd that go? Yeah, that's right. How'd that go? Yeah.
Okay. So I talked to him today, and this isn't going to go as well as you think it is. But I talked to Jimmy. It was a great conversation, and kind of right in the middle, I brought up Goldie. You know, and I said, you know, kind of what does that mean to you? He's been around for a while. Is that a guy that you have looked up to? You know, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, I was like, you know, I don't know what the situation. I was trying to fish. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know what the situation is. I was like, maybe you could shed some light, right? You know, he's in the commentator world. Like, yeah, I mean, they don't have like a secret clan where they meet underground and have commentator meetings. But I thought maybe he's in that thing, so maybe he'd know. But he was like, yeah, I mean, you know, it doesn't mean much to me. You know, I didn't really know the guy, and he's like, unfortunately, I got no information, but it is weird. The situation's weird, you know. And then he was addressing the fact that people were like, oh, well, maybe you're going to replace Goldie. And he's like, I'm a color commentator.
He does a Joe Rogan job, yeah.
Yeah, he is the Joe Rogan of Bellator, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, no, he's not going to be replaced. So anyone who thinks that he's going to be replacing Goldie, you are sadly mistaken. Jimmy Smith is going to stay right with us.
Yeah, don't be a silly bitch.
Jimmy
Smith ain't replaced. And to touch on that, Jimmy has gone through that too. Like when they replaced
Sean Wheelock.
Sean Wheelock with Sean Grande, and everybody was like, I get it, they got a similar name and they kind of talk similar, but like, you see the face, and you're like, that's not the same motherfucker.
So he addressed that. He addressed that on the podcast. Okay. And he also, which that'll be out this week. So for whoever's listening to this, the episode I'm referring to will be out this week. It's called A Day in the Life. It'll be the second episode in that series. The first episode I interviewed Matt Marsden, who's the head cut man for Bellator.
Okay.
Awesome interview. I loved it. If you haven't checked that out, Dude, go check that out. I don't know if you know anything about like being a cut man.
Yeah,
but
I interviewed Stitch. I interviewed Stitch.
Stitch Duran, very cool. Yeah, so very cool because I knew nothing about it. Like going into it, I'm completely cold.
It's a whole world.
Which was I think
whole world.
I think that was better going into it, just really not having any clue. I didn't even know that cutmen wrapped hands.
Yes.
Right. I didn't know that was part of their. Yeah, I didn't even know that was a part of their job. So I literally went into that completely cold, which is kind of cool, right? Like it was like I was like a baby being born, right? Like everything was new to me. Everything they said was like new to me, which is really cool. But anyway, so the episode I'm talking about is going to come out this week. Go check it out. Shameless plug.
I'll check it out. I love you.
He addressed the switch between Wheelock and Grand. Grand or Grande?
Grande. Sean Grande.
Grande. He addressed the switch between Wheelock and Grande. And it was Bjorn leaving, and it was Cocker coming in, and it was just a regime change, and he went out. So what else happened this year? The UFC got bought out by WME. So, I mean, regime change brings change. So somebody must have not liked something. You know, I don't know what. I don't know why. I mean, I don't necessarily think Goldie is... You know, you're missing something in the sense that he's been a part of the UFC for so long, and people who are lifelong fans, so to speak, you know, like guys like Keith, guys like you, because I'm not one of those. You know, I'm not one of you, quote unquote. Like, I came into UFC much later in life, and you know, I came into the UFC when McGregor came into the UFC. You know what I mean? Like,
let's touch on you real quick, and we'll come full circle. What was your first UFC experience, so that way people can know?
It was McGregor, Dustin Poirier.
Oh, so UFC 186.
There you go.
186, 187. It was McGregor Poirier were on the card. I remember this whole card because I love this whole card. Dominic Cruz had just come back to face Mizugaki. Amanda Nunes lost to Amanda Nunes lost. Murked him in 68 seconds, 60-something. Amanda Nunes lost to Zagano. Yoel Romero beat Tim Kennedy in that stool gate. McGregor smoked Poirier first round. Donald Cerrone introduced Eddie Alvarez to the UFC, and we had Demetrius Johnson beat Chris Carriasso, second round submission. I remember that whole card. I love it. I love that whole card.
Incredible card. Just looking back, like, it's Eddie Alvarez's first fight coming out of Bellator. And I love how I was looking at a list and on like one of those Facebook groups, and they're like, who had the toughest challenge coming into the UFC? And people were trying to make the argument for Eddie Alvarez going against Cerrone, which I understand, except Alvarez was coming in to the UFC as the champion in Bellator. Like, he was coming into the UFC as the champion of a very well-known organization, and he had just beat Michael Chandler to get that belt. Right after losing to him the first time, he beats him the second time, which when I talked to Jimmy Smith and Marsden, who are both from Bellator, of course, when I said, what's your favorite fight in Bellator, both of them, without hesitation, said the same. Chandler Alvarez, both ones. You know, but they both said the first one had a special place in their heart. They both, literally, it was like they had rehearsed it, and I talked to them weeks apart. So, pretty crazy that they both did that same thing. So, yeah, Keith said UFC 6. That's where he came in.
Wow. I came in.
Yeah, see,
I came in 90 after that. I came in. UFC 96 was the first full card. Like, so I had watched a little bit. Like, I think I came in at one of those. It's a place called Twin Peaks. We have them here in Austin. You're from Austin. Or you're not from Austin, but you've been in Austin. So Twin Peaks is kind of like Twin Peaks is kind of like Hooters, but better for me.
It's just for your butt. It's Hooters with butts.
Yes, and I'm a huge fan of tits and butts. You know, working with some booty. Let me check you out. But so I'd watched. I remember I walked in at the Rashad Evans when he knocked out Chuck Liddell, and I got to that round. I think it was the second or third round, and he knocked him out. And so I'd really like that was my first kind of experience. But I had started wanting to watch UFC, and I had known I was 20 years old, and I couldn't drink beer, but I knew a lot of the girls who worked at Twin Peaks, so I would go and they'd be like, oh yeah, you come by and you can drink, and I'm like, okay, cool, fucking yeah, I'm coming to watch UFC. I think it was March 4th, UFC 196. And the headline card was Jardine, Quentin Jackson, Mark Munoz, and Matt Hamill were like the you had Pete Drago versus Matt Brown was on that card. It was just for
That
me
dude has been around. Like,
forever.
Matt Brown is like
Ever.
a zombie, bro. He's just been longer than you think. I mean, that's what's crazy. So I will say this. So obviously I came into the UFC much later. However, I've been obsessed with it.
Yes.
So I have gone back and watched a lot of this stuff incessantly. I mean, I got an obsession and I went back. So yeah, I didn't live through it, and you definitely watch these things through a different lens. So when you're going back watching GSP Sarah, right, and then going back and watching season 4 of Tough and realizing how Sarah got there in the first place, and then realizing what GSP would do after, you have all this information when you're watching that fight.
Yeah.
So you're viewing it through a different lens, which has its ups and downs. But other than that, I've watched most of the big fights when you guys talk about this stuff. Most of them I've seen.
Good.
Just because I've gone back and watched a lot of these old pay-per-views.
And I had to do that too, man. Like, I went back, like, as soon as I watched that, I went to go to Best Buy and I bought the best of UFC 2007, 2008. I bought UFC 80, I think it was 86 or 87. It had BJ Penn, Sean Shirk, Tito Ortiz, Lyoto Machida. Somebody, correct me in the comments. I think it was UFC 86 or 87. But anyways, I went back to buy all these DVDs, and I showed my friends. And so I would get them to come with me to Twin Peaks, and we would have little groups, and, like, they wouldn't know, like, anything about UFC, and I started training. I was 315 pounds, and I started working out. And I just, the trainer would, hey, watch this guy, practice this move, watch this guy, practice this move. And so that's kind of how I started getting balls deep in it, man. Like, watching people and just, I don't know, man, just becoming one with the sport, so to speak, man. So I watch it through completely different lenses as I've gone through and trained different combat sports, man. So, but coming full circle, peace out to Mike Goldberg. It was weird for them not to mention it. I watched the whole pay-per-view, even while I was cooking wings and cooking fried macaroni, and it was just a weird thing. They didn't, like, really, like, touch on it or give him a highlight video or something, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird, and as Keith said, I mean, Rogan never addressed it, which, I mean, but maybe that's the problem. Maybe him and Rogan were getting a little, I mean, who knows? We don't know what the story is.
Rogan did a comment. He did not a campaign, but he did a similar thing, like kind of a recap of UFC 207 tonight. So I'm eager to check that out probably as I go to sleep and in the morning to see what he said, to see if he said, he talks a lot of shit on his podcast that he doesn't say in the UFC mic. So I'm eager to see what he said. You know what I mean?
What he said. That's a good point. That's a valid point, because obviously he's going to talk about it.
Right.
It's just what you have to say. Yeah, dude, I didn't even know he was doing that.
I'm a huge Rogan fan, so I get my YouTube emails.
Yeah, I really want to see that. That's fantastic.
And,
so yeah, peace out, Goldie. I'm interested who they're going to get.
That's right.
Because we have an event. We have a pay-per-view event coming up in February. So, I mean, they got to get this figured out quick. I hope, please, God.
We're going to see Jim Rome.
Not
Jim Rome.
Not Jim Rome. Please. Please not Jim Rome.
Jim Rome's going to be over there.
I have no desire to see Jim Rome.
None of us. And shout outs to Keith, man. UFC 6, man. Back at Tank Abbott Day. Shout outs to Keith, man, for watching it that long, man. You're a true fan of the sport, man. I can only imagine, man, what you've been through as a fight fan, seeing so much. But we got to move on. We got Tarek Zafferdine.
Keith Robert, real quick. Keith Robert, founder of the MMATakeover.com.
MMATakeover.com. Shout outs to them, man. Yeah, I click like on the page because they if anybody, I'm not giving anything away. Keith sent you a message praising you for being on the podcast. I clicked like on over there. He added me another. I shout outs to Keith, man, for giving respect to me and you, man. Like, we didn't do anything. I don't feel like we did anything too special. I feel like we gave people some knowledge that maybe people aren't given. Like, maybe it is special. I don't know. But, like, I feel like we did some good stuff for the community. So shout outs to Keith, man, for the respect factor And yeah, MMA Takeover, man. Everybody go check him out. Click like on Facebook. Again, I hope I'm not putting you on blast or anything like that, Kyle. Like it's not, no big, no big thing, man. Like just respect factor. Like shout outs to Keith for that, man. So Dong Young Kim,
Stun gun.
Tarek Zafferty. What you think about that fight, man? I didn't watch it too close. I was in and out smoking cigarettes.
I thought it was boring as hell.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was a split decision. It was a split decision for Stun Gun. Probably shouldn't have been you know what I mean? It probably was a much more decisive decision than being a split. I don't think it was split. But regardless, I don't remember that fight being that interesting. In fact, I can't even, as I'm thinking in my head, I'd have to go back and listen to Companion. I probably was barely watching that fight. It just wasn't that interesting.
No, man, it was a lot of Tarek backing up and a lot of Stun Gun, from what I remember, coming in and in the transitions getting a takedown or trying to own him against the cage. Just a lot of Tarek just being very reserved, and I'm sure Faraz Sahabi, who is Tarek Zafferty's trainer, Tarek went over there after the Roy McDonald loss and started training with them more. He had gone in and out, but he trained with them more after that, and I'm sure Faraz is going to be on his ass about getting a new win. But yeah, shout-outs to Stun Gun. He needed to get that win. Good name under his belt. We'll move on to the Ray Borg Smoka fight because.
So what is MMA Decisions? Is that a website?
Yeah, I think so. Let me see. 1,600 writers for MMA Decisions. Give it to Zafferty. Yeah, I think MMA Decisions is either I'm sure it's a website or a Facebook page or something like that. I see.
Interesting.
Talking about it. Yeah.
Gave it to Safadine.
Oh, MMA Decisions
Weird.
is where I think all the writers, like they pick up all the writers who write for MMA and like they say like, oh, they thought that the fight went this way. There's a reason it was a split. It was boring as fuck on both sides. Like there's a reason it was a split. You know
Right. I just remember from when I was watching. I mean, I haven't done a rewatch or anything like that, but I just remember when I was watching. Every time I looked up, it looked like Kim was just in control of everything.
Yeah, me too.
And guess what? Here's what I was gonna say. I started because in my brain, it was filtering down, and I was gonna go, oh, I'll just go rewatch it and see who won. And then before it hit, like right here, I went, I'm not gonna go rewatch that damn fight. I literally don't care. I'll rewatch the Samoka Borg fight before I rewatch that one.
Yeah, man. It was. Don't do that, man. You go slam your head in the refrigerator before you go do that, man. Don't do that.
I mean, it probably wasn't that.
Yeah,
this wasn't Kimbo Dada 5000, but
man, I slam my dick in the cupboard before I do that shit again. Like that's no way. Let's hop on to Borg and Smoka because it was funny to me that every fucking body, dude, was Smoka is this fucking this new up and comer, and I get it. Ray Borg didn't make weight, but I'm very biased. I've met Ray Borg. I've met him a number of occasions when I go to Albuquerque. My girlfriend's from Albuquerque. I interviewed him last year, not last year, 2 years ago in 2015. Him and Amber Brown. This guy is one of the nicest fucking guys ever, and he's one of the hardest training guys in wrestling and boxing, and so I know what he's capable of. And I think a lot of people.
He kind of pulled a shitty move though.
Well, you know what? He won.
I think he did a real piece of shit move there. And I'll say it because of this. And you don't have to endorse this because obviously you like Borg. I have no history with Borg, so I'll say it. You don't even have to say anything. So there's different tiers, and I kind of say this on my recap today. There's different tiers, right, of where people miss weight. I think Johnny Hendricks missing weight is kind of one tier, right? Where he obviously, I'll get to that in a second, but there's just different tiers of people miss weight. I don't treat everyone missing weight the same. Like when Charles Bronx Oliveira missed weight, fuck that dude. Like he was eating literally.
I hear your point because I listened to your podcast.
He was on camera eating McDonald's like 5 days before the fight, and he missed weight by 5 pounds. When Borg walked on that scale, the first thing I thought. So on the podcast, I picked Samoka. I was all over Samoka. I love Samoka. I'm a huge Samoka fan, right?
I'm not.
And
Go ahead.
still am, which is cool. It is what it is. I mean, I don't feel too passionate about either one. I feel much more passionate of my disdain with Ray Borg. So come on the show, Ray Borg. Like if this gets back to you, please come on the show. I'll gladly hash this out and tell me I'm wrong. But when he stepped on that scale, I went, holy shit, that dude did not try. He looked, his skin was bright. There was no gauntness. There was no nothing. He looked like he had just walked in there after eating a full meal. I mean, he was ready to go. Walked on there, 5 pounds over. He was almost in a different weight class. Walked on that scale, flexed his arms, see you guys, and walked out. To me, that's an absolute piece of shit move. He should have hung his head in shame. Should have hung his head in shame because it became so apparent the way that he looked on that scale, he did not try to cut that weight. Now, Johnny Hendricks, when he stood on that scale, that motherfucker looked like he was going to die. He looked like he was on death's doorstep. Look at Pettis, when Pettis stepped on that scale versus Holloway. He looked like he was going to die, right? I mean, there's a difference, which first of all, this guy shouldn't be cutting weight in the first place, which we'll get to Hendricks when we get to that fight. Those guys shouldn't have been cutting that much weight in the first place because it's really dangerous and know your body, know its limitations. But to just literally, there's no way that Borg tried. If Borg wants to come on like my podcast and say he legitimately tried, I'm just going to tell him no, he didn't. Because it's obvious. Just look at him. Look at him. I guess that my question to him would be, at what point did you stop trying? Because it had to have been 2+ hours before stepping on that scale. Anyone who steps on that scale after having a tough weight cut, you see it. You see the tough weight cut. You did not see it at all. He had a big shit-eating grin on his face. He was flexing those muscles, and he walked out. And I'm okay with that.
I know, man. And I don't mean to cut you. I hate being that guy. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm gonna add to your point, but on the other side of the token. So. Ray Borg hadn't fought in a while, quite honestly, and he hadn't fought in so long that they hadn't been doing these first weigh-ins and ceremonial weigh-ins and all the bullshit. So I was listening to some of Ray Borg's post-fight, and he was like, "Yeah, we just weren't prepared for a morning weigh-in, and to come in 5 pounds over, I can believe that because you want to come in like back in the day." You're coming in the morning of with you want to cut anywhere from 7 to 3 pounds, and by 2 or 3 o'clock. So on that flip side, his team just wasn't prepared to cut that weight. And really, I get it. Like you should be as a fighter in one sense. You should be like, fuck, man, fuck, I didn't make weight.
Like, how are you not? Well, it's almost like, how are you not prepared then? Like. If that's true, if his team wasn't prepared, fire your team. Go get a new team. Like, how are you not prepared for that?
But it's team to a certain point. And then
everyone else was.
Right. And Tim Means trains out of the same camp as Ray Borg. They train out of Fit NHB, just like Amber Brown. Amber Brown's made weight all year. Tim Means made weight all year. Like, I get it. Like, you can blame your team to a certain point. I get it. I fucking get it. It's your responsibility to a certain point. But quite honestly, like, you're gonna be a sad motherfucker about it, or you're gonna try and own it. And I'm a real, like, to be quite honest, man, I'm a real, I don't say a prideful guy, but I'm a real, a confident guy. And it's like either you can step on a scale and be a Debbie Downer, or you can be like, listen, I don't give a fuck. Like I'm the weight I'm at. I'm gonna lose 20%. Let me smile in front of these cameras real quick, man, because I know I'm gonna go in here and smoke I'm gonna smoker, you know. And I mean, it really was that. I really feel like it was that because you know what, Ray Borg, he's not a piece of shit guy. Like, and I'm gonna tell this story real quick. I was at Fit NHP and my girlfriend had the car, so I had to wait for her at Fit NHP, and they were closing up. And Fit NHP and Jackson is only a block away. It's not in a great part of town, dude. Like, it's in a really bad part of town, honestly. And if Roberto Villa's watching this, he can attest to this. It's in kind of a not so good part of town, man. Like, I kind of felt intimidated. I'm all of 225 pounds, and I train, but I still felt a little like, like somebody came up to me, asked me if I could give him money for gas, like just didn't give a fuck, and I was just like, I ain't got no money. I'm smoking cigarettes. Leave me alone. But Ray Borg, he went into his Toyota FJ in the parking lot, and he literally waited for 15 minutes until my ride pulled up. Like that shows some character, man. Like he's not a piece of shit guy. This weight cut, I want to separate the weight cut from the character, if I can, for a minute, please. You know.
Of course, for sure.
He's not a piece of shit guy. Like I don't know what the fuck happened. I can only know what he said, but I can only know, of course, what his camp has proved all year. They've proved that they can make fighters weights all year. They did it with Tim Means. He trains out of the same camp. I don't know what happened, but partially it could be that. It could be like, hey, we gotta. You're not ready. Okay, you're not ready. Well, fuck it. Just go own it then. Fucking, I don't know what to tell you, Ray. You know, and Ray has to be in the back of his mind. I didn't make weight. I didn't do as much as I could, but I guess I have to own it. And I get it. Like you can look at it as that's a piece of shit move, but he won the fight. Like there's been people who didn't make weight and didn't win fights. You know what I'm saying?
Who? Give me a fighter. Give me a guy like at like lightweight. Give me a 155er. Just name a 155er who's not a champion.
Rafael dos Anjos.
Okay. How do you feel about Dos Anjos?
I don't like that Easter Island-headed looking motherfucker. He's not one
All
of
right.
my favorites.
Dos Anjos steps on the scale. Okay, he's training for a fight. He's about to fight some prospect, up and coming, right? One of those up and coming prospects. Dos Anjos steps on the scale. Okay, looks great. Look, $1 million.
Yeah. Okay.
Steps on the scale, weighs 160 pounds. Flexes his muscles, walks off. Are you making the same argument for Dos Anjos that you're making for Borg?
I can't.
I don't think the answer is yes.
I'll tell you this though. It's because there's partial bias there. Like I've literally, if I've met Dos Anjos, I still tell him he looked like Frankenstein, but you might be the nicest guy in the world. You might be the nicest guy in the world. Like here's the thing. Like I don't know his character. I don't know him personally. I can't defend his character, and then separate the weight cut from that. Is the weight cut bad? Fuck yeah, dude. Like stop. This is part of your job. Make fucking weight.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing that it's a piece of shit move. How about that?
And and the other thing is, if it's flipped, right? If Andrew Sanchez comes out and misses 185, which he should have he walks around at like 190. But if Andrew Sanchez comes in and misses weight at 185, and I'm talking to you and you're like, man, what a shitty move for him coming in 5 pounds, and I'd be like, yeah. Andrew Sanchez is a saint. You shut your.
Yeah, I get it.
So
I get it.
So I get it. I mean, when you meet, obviously we do a thing where we talk to fighters and we meet fighters, and you know, whenever I talk to these fighters, I generally talk to them for a long time. I mean,
I do too. Yeah,
I talk to some of these guys. I talk to some of these guys for like just on the podcast. I talk to them for an hour, but then there's an entire time before and after where I'm not recording. You know, there's. Like on that Robin Black interview, we talked for like 15 minutes just off record. You know what I mean? Where I wasn't recording because we were talking about things that neither one of us wanted recorded, so I just wasn't recording it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it is. You get relationships with people, so I get it, man, and I'm glad that you defended your boy. I'm because that's good. Like if you didn't, then there's probably something wrong with you. So that's good that you at least you stepped up to bat for it, man. So that's good.
I'm a loyal motherfucker, man. Like if anybody talks shit against you and if some shit happens and it's like it's questionable, I'm gonna still cut for you. I'm gonna get my verbal knife out. I'm gonna cut for a motherfucker.
People, I keep getting people talking shit to me on the Fight Companion video. Like people tell me to get a life. People talking about my wacky kitchen studio. Talking about like one guy was like, "Yeah, this dude's no Joe Rogan!" Like exclamation point. And I was like, "Cool, yeah." Like,
all right, thanks for commenting.
I didn't realize I had like a "Hello, my name is Joe Rogan" sticker on my. Yeah, not really. That's not really what I'm going for.
Right,
but appreciate the. But that's also just when you know that's a part of growth, right? The more you grow, like this stuff is just going to keep happening. Like, when we release this video, I think this video is going to do pretty well. So I think when we release this video, I think, you're going to get a random shit talker in there. It's just it's a necessary evil, right? If you want to push your product, if you want to push your brand, you're going to get naysayers. And a lot of times people naysay because they do not possess the ability to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's hard for them because maybe they want to do it. Maybe they want to do an MMA podcast, but they don't know how. They don't know how to go about doing it. Or maybe they want to do this Facebook Live stuff, but they're like, I don't even know, how do I do this? Like, how do I couldn't figure out how to get Facebook Live set up through my computer. You had to show me, right?
Yeah.
So maybe I'm that guy before where I'm like, this dude with his Facebook Live thinks he's all bad, right? Like, because I couldn't figure it out. But
I get
so
it,
yeah,
man.
that's
You're successful when you have haters, and unfortunately, I never feel successful because I don't have any haters. Like, I'm not bragging about it. I want some haters. Somebody hate on this podcast so it can make me work harder, please, because I'm stepping up my own game every day. I'm thinking about how to get it, and I don't have no. Give me haters. Kyle, give me some of your haters. Throw them my way, man. Like, come on.
Oh, don't worry, man. Bro, I'll hate on you all day if you want me to. I can find some stuff.
I go for it. Let's go.
Yeah, and did you miss the stuff on the Fightbook MMA page? Roberto, can I say names?
You can name names.
You get back to me. I want to hear from him. I want to make sure he's cool with me.
And shout outs to Roberto real quick because he commented. He said he wouldn't walk to where I was at. He said I wouldn't walk through that neighborhood. And it's funny because I walked that block this past summer when I was at Jackson. I walked up the street. I was gonna call an Uber because I felt so uncomfortable. You know what? I was like, I'm a real motherfucker. I'm gonna put my sunshades on. I'm gonna put my cigarette in my mouth. Let somebody fuck with me, dude. I walked from Jackson's to Fit NHP, and I walked from Fit NHP to Jackson's. And there's people who live there that wouldn't do that. It's not because I'm dumb. It's just like I felt like, you know what? Like let some shit happen. Like I'm a God-fearing man, but let some shit happen. Like let's do it. Like I talk some shit. Best believe you catch me the wrong day. Like we can throw knuckles. But I'm not that guy. I'm a friendly guy, as you know, man. I just talk some shit. I like to have fun.
So Roberto said I can name names.
Okay.
Do you want to have the floor for just a second?
Yeah, and Keith said he hates this podcast, so let's talk some shit, man. Go ahead, take the floor.
All right. So I don't even know what led to this situation, but this kid, I want to say his name is Tyler King. That might have been his. I wanted to say Tyler David, but I don't think that's it. Right. Pretty sure it's Tyler King.
All right. And
he fights in some promotion. I'm gonna guess CES, but I really don't know. Maybe World Series of Fighting. I think he's a New England guy, so I'm gonna guess CES. But again, yeah. I really don't know. He's certainly not in the UFC, and he doesn't have any type of name because I had no clue who he was, and at least not on some big long scale. So anyway, he basically calls out somebody from Fightbook MMA, somebody who produced a thing, who I guess had written verbatim what one of their, somebody had written an article, from the perspective of someone he was fighting. Okay. If that makes sense. So he was writing an article, he was interviewing a fighter that this Tyler guy was fighting. And I guess the guy lied or made something dramatic or whatever it was. And the journalist wrote that down and released the article. He didn't fact check it because that's not what we're doing. Like when I do my podcast, if I'm talking to somebody and that person says that they've been to the moon, I go with that because I'm not gonna fact check this dude's interview. Like I don't have that kind of time. I don't have that kind of energy. Like, and I don't give a shit. Like if they said that they went to the moon, like yeah, this dude went to the moon, man. I don't fucking know. Like why would I care? Like why would I care? That's not my job. That's your job. Like to figure that shit out. I mean, because I'm not. I could understand, like, if you're working for Time Magazine, I can understand, like, you need to fact check, and I can understand that you need to treat your operation as if it is Time Magazine. I get that, right? I get that argument. But at the same time, we're not talking about going to the moon. We're talking about fights. And we're talking about fights in some of this kind of smaller promotions. It'd be different if Conor McGregor is saying he's a war hero, right? And you're printing that without fact checking it. That I get. That's not what we're talking. That's not what we're talking.
Right.
But anyway, so I guess he fights in Bellator.
Yeah, he fights.
So anyway, I basically just monitor the whole conversation. I think Roberto's in there. Maybe the guy who wrote the article's in there. Sorry I have so much hand movement, people. This is how I think. This is how I process information. I got to use my hands a lot. But, excuse me. I'm just kind of monitoring this conversation, and this guy is being an asshole. I mean, that's what he was doing. He was being an asshole, and I could tell as I was watching it that it was a part of a gimmick. And I wasn't sure if Keith, I wasn't sure if...
Hey, Kyle, your mic's doing that thing.
Oh, give me a second.
Kyle's mic goes crazy sometimes. Hang on. He's still coming back. Shout outs to Keith. First Blazing Balls podcast will be live from the moon. Yes, it will. Ray Borg claimed to be a war hero. Yes, he did. He fought the UFC wars.
He did not. He did not. do not get that started. All right.
You sound way better. All right, brother.
Give me just a second because I actually can't hear, so hold on.
Okay. Let me know if you can hear me because I can hear you.
Oh, no. I lost you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Yes. Can you see me?
Not shaking. Okay, you can hear me?
Yes.
So I actually can't hear you. Give me just a second.
Okay. We're getting all this shit figured out.
Sorry, guys.
We still love everybody out there. So, again, thanks for everybody sharing and commenting and liking and being just a real adding momentum. Can you hear me? Kyle?
Sorry, guys.
It's all good. We love Kyle.
Yeah. I completely lost my hearing. That's no bueno.
That's no bueno. Kyle, how can you hear me? Can you hear me any other way?
Yeah, you keep talking for a second.
I will.
And,
get your phone out.
Let me try to figure
this
out.
Get your phone. Hey, Kyle. Somebody write Kyle. Tell him to get his phone out so that way he can plug in and listen to me. It might be on a delay. I don't know. But shout outs, man. This is going really well, even though we got this little technical glitch going. Somebody write Kyle. Somebody tell him to get his phone and like he can hear the podcast that way, or something. Because this is fire right here. This is straight heat. Yeah, man. So let's see. Let's read some comments, man. We got Keith hating this podcast. There we go. Tag Kyle. Get your phone out. Roberto Villa saying he fight for Bellator. This was just getting heated up too. But anybody, the Ray Borg Smoka fight, anybody was going for Smoka, man. I just don't like Smoka because he beat my boy Patty Houlihan, and yeah, it was just not. I don't know. I'm a huge Patty Houlihan fan from Ireland, and
if I talk, how much worse do I sound?
No, you sound good, man.
Okay. So basically, if I plug my microphone in, I can't hear.
Oh no!
So as long as you can hear me, then we're cool.
I can hear you perfectly fine. Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm just no longer talking. This is worthless now. I'm just talking to you through my internal mic.
It sounds
all
good
right,
as fuck though. There we go.
Sorry about that, guys. So anyway, to finish up my story here, if you can remember where we left off.
Yes.
So basically, I'm monitoring this whole conversation and just trying to. It's actually way more comfortable not having to talk to that microphone. I need to figure out a way to like get the microphone up here or something. But anyway, I'm just monitoring the conversation, and I chime in when I thought I was ready, right? So I chime in, hey, you know what, Tyler? Like, you're totally in the wrong here. And so he comes at me, but he comes at me in a way that was very, very telegraphed, and I knew what my response was. So when he said that to me, I knew by what my response was, what he was going to then say after that. So I made my response, and he literally said the exact thing I thought he was going to say. So my response to it was, yeah, like, I get what you're doing, dude, like, but it's stale. Like, it's a gimmicky little stale thing. Like,
yeah.
It's, I was like, you're trying to be Chael Sonnen, and it's cute. Like, I get it, And then he posts some big, long thing. So I reached out to him to invite him on the podcast, and smartly for him, he did not oblige. But if this gets back to him, I'll gladly have you on, buddy. Because I got listen,
there's nothing that anyone could do to me that's going to rattle me. Because if I get him on and he starts going ham on me, the only thing I'm thinking is, this is good fucking radio. Like, let's keep this going. I have another. I'm not gonna say any names, but I got into a Twitter spat with somebody, and you actually know who it is. Don't say it out loud, but you actually know who it is.
Okay.
Don't say it.
Okay.
Don't say it.
I won't.
But you actually know who it is because we talked about it, and he's coming on the show now. So I don't think it's gonna go bad.
Right.
But it very well could. You know what I mean? I'm not going to try to, though, because that's disingenuous. I'm not trying to be disingenuous. I think that I have a feeling it's just going to go negative because I just think that's what happens, right? I think it's just going to go negative because I don't think he's very happy with me, and I'm not going to back off. I got to this point. I'm not pulling away now, so it's probably going to be negative. But yeah, this Tyler, I think I'm not going to say who it is, Keith. Just because I don't know, until I have his interview recorded, I don't believe it.
Don't do it, yeah.
Because I was going back and forth with him, and he had absolutely nothing to offer. I mean, everything I said, his comebacks.
Lame as
I mean,
fuck.
it was.
Lame as fuck.
Yeah, and and when I messaged him and said, "Hey man, do you want to come on the show and talk?" He right away was like, hell yeah, dude, like. Whatever. And it's not, if he's going to come on the show and he's going to try to like come at me, and this is probably true for Tyler. This is why Tyler's not going to come on the show. But, if you're going to come on the show and you're going to come at me, like, first of all, you have to understand that I control this medium. Like, I get to do with this whatever I can market it however I want to market it. Like, you know what I mean? That's a dangerous that's a dangerous game to play.
Yeah.
Because if you come on the podcast and you go hard at me, I get to control what gets put out. I get to control how it gets put out. Now, I'm not the kind of person that would manipulate stuff to make it sound worse or make it sound better, just because there's no point in doing that. Yeah. No, there's no point in doing that. But like, it's still my podcast. Like, I still can control to a certain extent how it's marketed, right? And I can market it in a way that I'm going to come out fresher on the other side. So I don't think he's going to come on a show, and that's why I'm not going to say his name. But if I get the interview locked in and we record it, I'll announce it right away. But if Tyler, buddy, if you're watching this, if this gets back to you, feel free to tag him right here. It's not going to go great for you, but I'll gladly have you come on, and hopefully we can just have a real conversation, because I'd like to get to know you, because I honestly don't know who you are. I haven't searched your name up. I didn't look into you any further than right then and there. I mean, obviously you're a good fighter because you associate with Fightbook MMA, so obviously there's some fighting in there, but I literally don't know who you are. So come on the show, tell me about yourself, man. Like, it doesn't have to be weird. We can just do a regular interview. I have a feeling that's not what would happen, and I'm cool with that. But we could totally have a normal interview. I'm down.
Right. This just got crazy real quick, man. This just got real crazy real quick.
You just realize, you're like, I did not realize this dude was so confrontational. Like, why is he here?
We need to get Kyle off of here. He's having confrontations with all these people.
I'm trying to fight everybody.
Yeah, everybody. Next Shell Sonnen on podcast. No, I'm just kidding. But no,
I think I more want to go after like a guy like Landsberg. Just a guy who. I think I just understand that if I ever do get into one, it hasn't happened yet. But if I ever were to get in that situation, it wouldn't bother me.
Right.
I wouldn't. If I had a fighter come on and he went just and I came out looking dumb, I would release that interview immediately. Because that's gonna sell, so to speak. Right. It doesn't matter what I look like. It doesn't matter that if I look stupid or if I look whatever. It doesn't matter. Good radio is good radio, regardless of how I look. So if I get someone on, say I got Chael on, and say I asked a dumb question, and Chael started going hard on me about asking stupid questions, and I start sputtering to try to figure out something to ask him, and he keeps going, and he just hangs up. You better believe I'm releasing that. Are you kidding me? I'm releasing that right away. I don't give a shit. That doesn't bother me.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's going to get so many clicks, and that's what matters, right? It doesn't matter how I look at that point. It happened. This is a reality. Yeah. Release the reality, as long as it's a good one.
Just keep it real. Like that's all I can do.
Yeah, man,
Like that's
keep it
all I
real.
can do. Just keep it real. Be entertainful. But keep it real. Like I don't want cookie cutter motherfuckers like on my show. I got you here. We're keeping it real. We just keep it
And
real.
I'll give Tyler credit because, other than the fact that he was just ripping off Chael's gimmick, I liked the cut of his jib. Like I liked that he was going at it. Like when he sent the thing back, he was like, "That's why you're gonna comment here. That's why when I fight, you're gonna root against me. That's why when I do this." It was great. I mean, I loved it. I mean, I was cool with it. I'm like, yeah, man, I see what you're doing. I like it. I've seen it before, but I appreciate it.
Right.
You'll come into your room and you'll figure out a better way to do it. That's cool. Like I get it. But I do like him. I am interested. But just for the sake of being an asshole, I'm not going to look up anything. So I'm going to make him. I'm going to make him come to me.
Like Cody McKenzie said, Google me, motherfucker. But yeah, man. Again, bringing it back to, we went on a wide tangent, but back to Smoke Aboard.
Now that we have 0 watchers, probably. Lost everybody.
Tyler took them all, man. But yeah, man. Smoke Aboard. I told everybody. I was just like, everybody was at the party, like, oh, that Smoker kid looks sick. I'm like, you know what? Like, a lot of media was giving Smoker like a lot of praise. I'm not impressed by nothing by Smoker. I think he's good. I'm just mad. Again, I was telling people while you were trying to get your headphones situated, I'm still mad at him. He beat my boy Patty Houlihan. I'm never gonna let that down. And so I'm just a bigger Ray Borg fan. And I think people underestimate Ray Borg and what he can do. He's a great wrestler, great scrambler, great gritty fighter. And that's going to take him a long way. It's taken him this far, and people, I think, forget Ray Borg. Just they hadn't seen him in a while. They're not sure if he's still doing it. And when he missed weight, they were even more like, oh, Smoker's going to do it. But you know what? Like, I'm a huge Ray Borg fan. I hope he does some more good fights. And Smoker's no joke. Like, he'll take the loss, and he'll rebound. He'll rebound against somebody, good. But and I like what you were saying as the Borg fight went on. You were like, you said something, and I kind of disagreed with it, but I kind of got what you were saying. Smoker is still the better fighter, even though Ray Borg won. I wouldn't say he's a better fighter. I'd say he's a better all-around fighter. Like he's more rounded than say somebody like Ray Borg. Ray Borg was the better fighter that night between the two.
I think that's what I made.
Yeah, I got what you meant. Like I stopped it, and I was just like, I get what you mean, though. I kind of got what you meant, but.
And I mean, Borg looked like, and you were talking about listening to the Fight Companion. Yeah, I mean, kind of what was happening as I was watching it, it was like it became so apparent that Borg was just a bigger guy. I mean, he was so much stronger.
Yeah.
And it was an entertaining fight. That was a fun fight to watch.
I liked it.
Good for both of them. But yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I definitely. Good for Borg. I mean, I'm interested to see what's next. He's very, very young. He's young.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's like 25.
23.
Yeah.
He's like 23. I mean, I think he's even
okay.
younger. I think he's young. I think he's about 23. Because I was just looking at his thing. I'm pretty sure he was born in 93.
Okay. He's a young kid, man. He's a good kid, though.
Really. But either way, even if he's 25, born in 91 or whatever, even if he's 25, that's young. It's still pretty young. He has a lot to learn, and he beat Samoka decisively. Now let's say decisively.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some back and forth, and there was some every time someone would get on top, it would just immediately switch, and it was just a good BJJ fight. That's like what it felt like. It was just a good like this is a BJJ clinic, right? Like one guy just flipping around and going for this submission. This guy's going for this submission. Flip this guy around, going for the heel, going for the guillotine, going for the arm. It was a very, very good
very
fight.
good positional fight if you're a BJJ fan.
You're into that.
Yeah, and it was interesting. You now know, if you didn't know before, Ray Borg's got heart because he broke his ankle in the second round from an ankle lock. And so if you didn't know the boys from 505 Albuquerque got heart, Borg has heart. All those guys from Fit and HB, him and Tim Means, they everybody fighting, even out of Jackson, they all got heart, man. Like that's one thing they do have, and that's very cliche to say, but he's got heart.
Nobody has more heart than Walter White.
That's a different story. That's a different podcast altogether, right there. I'll tell you what. But yeah, man. But yeah, I like that fight. I'm happy to see Ray Borg win. And again, Smoker's not gonna. The loss is a loss, but he's still gonna come back and beat up on Dustin Ortiz, or he'll do some good stuff in there. You know what I'm saying? But
prepare better for a guy off that tough season.
Yeah, Brandon Moreno, make some good adjustments, but good for Borg, man. I'm eager to see who he fights next, and I don't care who he fights. I'm eager to see what he does. Of course, some of the other memorable I don't say memorable, but notable fights. Hendricks Magny. God damn it, man. just damn it.
Death, taxes, and Johnny Hendricks not making 170.
And it's funny you were bringing up Johnny Hendricks and Anthony Pettis not making weight this year because they have the same weight management specialist, my boy Lou Giordano, Lutrition, and he was also, but he helps athletes make weight. Like he was John Jones' weight management specialist. He was John Jones' driver. Like he's Jose Shorty Torres' weight management specialist. Like he's all these guys. Like he can help guys. Like he's really good. He's Aljamain's last year. He's Kevin Lee's this year when he fought in Ireland.
You can only help a guy whose body is going to allow them to do it.
Yes, that was the next thing. Like the athlete has to do what they can do, and if they're,
For both of those guys, it's pure just body chemistry.
Yeah.
Like their bodies just but here's the thing, and I say this, I kind of think I said this on the recap. I certainly say it on my episode that's coming out tomorrow, but I just do not want to see Johnny Hendricks fighting at 185. He's already too small for 170. You put him at 185, he's going to get brain damage. And sorry, but putting the extra pressure on your body, cutting weight, is not as bad as getting CTE. You know what I mean? It's not worth it. It's not worth going up against guys who, again, you're already going against bigger guys all the time.
Right.
TKO'd by Wonder Boy. You've been you went hard with Gastelum. You went pretty hard with Magny. I mean, please don't go to 185.
But there were a lot of
retire.
The thing about this fight was there was a lot of good moments for Johnny Hendricks where he got the takedown.
There was, agreed. And because Neil Magny isn't that good. I mean, really, he's been taken down in every single fight.
Yeah.
He was losing that Hector Lombard fight. If he was a different referee in there, he loses that fight, literally.
Yeah, the first round and second round.
TKO'd in the first round. And in the second round he was in trouble. So, you put him in a different referee in there, and he doesn't even...
He didn't even make that. He didn't make that fight. That fight was lost.
And then he obviously loses to Lorenz Larkin, just gets pieced apart by Lorenz Larkin.
And I was going for Lorenz Larkin because I realized, Lorenz Larkin... he doesn't look like Denzel. But Lorenz Larkin is somebody not to fuck with. Like, he beat Robbie Lawler back in the day. Earlier this year, he beat Albert Tumanov. And he just does these weird things, like just these really weird things. That weird spinning. He does a spinning heel kick to the leg, to the calf area. It's not even to the body. Like most people expect to the body or the head. He does a spinning heel kick to your leg. Like, who the fuck does that? Like, that's a weird-ass move in itself. He just does weird things. But, again, it's not about Lorenz Larkin. It's about Neil Magny. Neil Magny used his length, his long-ass legs to get Johnny in a lot of triangles attempts and a lot of clinching against the cage that I think won him the fight. Like, the attempts didn't win him the fight, but it was control against the cage, using the length to keep Johnny at bay for a longer amount of time than Johnny was on top of him. Johnny he looked better. He looked really, really better than we've seen him lately, but it just wasn't enough for this fight. I think he could still make 170 without diuretics and without IVs, without what I'll call the Dolce plan. He can do it without Dolce, but he just has to maintain his body in the off season, man. Like when you go back and see that he was 213 pounds, 12 pounds before he fought Robbie Lawler that second time, you're like, Jesus, man, like that's what middleweights weigh when they're not fighting. Like, you can't do that, bro. You cannot do that, man. And I
has this body type that just like, man, I don't know if he can make it to 170 without a diuretic.
Oh,
and honestly, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I really now obviously your buddy was the nutritionist, so I'm not doubting his. Obviously, he thought that they could do it, so I'm not doubting that. I'm not questioning that. I'm not making some whatever against his team because, like I said, I wasn't shitting on Hendricks because even when we were talking earlier, I don't want to shit on Hendricks because he looked like a guy who had been trying to do it. He didn't look like a guy who had given up. Now, I would have liked to have seen him cut the beard off, shave the hair, and do the towel, and go all the way with it. You know what I mean? I get you're not going to lose 3 pounds that way or 2 pounds that way, whatever you get by 3 pounds. I get you're not going to lose that weight just by cutting your beard and your hair and stuff, but at least give the impression that until your last second year, you're going to give it your all.
Right.
I would have liked to have seen that type of commitment, maybe. Although he has nothing to prove to me. He has nothing to prove to anybody. He was welterweight champion of the world. That never gets taken away from him.
Right. He's always going to have
that.
He's always going to have that.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need to prove anybody. Oh, on Fightbook MMA, 30 minutes until the voting begins.
Oh, for the awards, that's right, man. Shout outs to Roberto Villa, and shout outs to Loaded Joe's. I'm gonna pat myself on the back, man. 2 years in a row. Thank you so much for everybody for making us number one. Look at that. Thank you. But yeah, shout outs to number one most visited podcast on Fightbook MMA. Shout outs to everybody that made that happen. We didn't do that by ourselves. Fans, frenemies, everybody like that, man. Like y'all did this for me. Thank you so much. And I can only hope to keep doing real shit, especially with people like Kyle. And we could just keep making real stuff, man. And shout outs to Keith. He did correct me. Tumanov won a BS decision. I remember in my head thinking Lorenz Larkin won that fight, but that's right. Tumanov didn't take away with that, but it didn't take away from Lorenz Larkin's stock at all. It was one of those fights that you lose and you're like, well, we still want to see him get a good win, and that he did, man. He did beat up Magny pretty decisively by knockout. But anyways, man, so that was one of them. The Johnny Hendricks Magny fight. Who else was on the fucking card? That weird Tim Means fight earlier in the night where that was a fucking stupid rule. I don't know if you saw that one with Tim Means and Oliveira.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bro. That's all I'm saying, bro. Come on, man. Like, they need to have some rules implemented for shit like that when shit like that happens, man. It's just.
Well, I mean, I think they're changing it. I don't know how. I don't know. I'm not a ref. I don't know how any of that shit works. What I do know is that it was an illegal knee, and at the time, I was like, why is there a question? But then Joe Rogan was questioning it. So I'm like, and then like the Nevada State Commission person was questioning it. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm crazy. Like, let's figure it out. But, the more we went through the day, or the longer we got in the night, I'm like, wait a minute. Anytime a knee, it's always been legal. Like, that was never a question, was it? I mean, if your knee's down on the ground, you're a downed opponent. You don't have to have three points of contact. Had to do with like if you're standing up or I don't know exactly what that was about, but like that's if you're like standing and you lean over and your hand
put a
touches.
hand down, yeah.
That's 3 points of contact, and you can't knee them at 3 points of contact.
That's considered a down
but if
opponent.
Your knees down, exactly. That's considered a down opponent, even if your knees aren't down. If you're standing leaned over and your hand is on, you can't knee them in the face. So that, to my understanding, that's the 3-point stance that kept getting brought up. When you're on both of your knees and none of your hands are touching, so they're saying that's a 2-point stance. That's not how that works, because if your knees are down, I think it's like being in the NFL. Like, if your knee is down in any way, shape, or fashion, you're down.
Yeah, and he only had one knee down, and then...
And it wouldn't matter.
Yeah,
it wouldn't matter,
yeah.
because it's any shape,
any part
any way,
of your,
shape, or fashion.
Yeah.
Any part of your knee is on the ground, like you're a down opponent.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I'm aware. Now, I do think that's changing.
It is. It is. It has to be 4 points of contact, I think. Like both hands, everything has to be basically on the ground. I think that's the way the rule. And shout outs to Keith bringing up the Nico Price fight. We'll touch on Nico Price and Brandon Thatch because that was a crazy ass fight. But yeah, man, that was just kind of weird controversy that Joe Rogan he brought in Brett Ratner to kind of clarify the rules and I get like Joe Rogan knows what he's talking about, but it was just one of those things where it got even more attention because Joe Rogan kept bringing it up and bringing it up and bringing it up. and you wouldn't have focused on it so much had.
And he was confused. I mean, everybody was. I don't know why everybody was confused, but nevertheless, they were confused. So it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's one of those things where it is what it is, man. And let's move on to that Nico Price fight with Brandon Thatch, because that was just Jesus Christ, man. Like,
good for Nico. And again, shout out to Keith for linking me up with his interview he did with him. That was one of the few interviews that anybody did with Nico.
Oh, really?
He was unknown. Yeah, he was really unknown, and it was funny because I was talking to him, and he had mentioned he did the interview. I'm like, oh, dude, send me that link, because I have heard nothing from this guy. So I got a chance to listen to him, and I wound up on Twitter publicly changing my pick from Brandon Thatch to Nico Price.
Wow.
Just from that interview.
Wow.
Just from that interview. Publicly, you can track this. I publicly changed my pick from Nico Price, or from Brandon Thatch over to Nico Price. I never wanted to pick Brandon Thatch anyway. To be honest,
I heard your opinions on your fight. Compare.
Yeah, I'm not a big Brandon Thatch fan to begin with. Yeah, he said it was his only UFC interview before the fight, which I believe because I didn't see him anywhere else. Yeah, shout out to MMA Takeover, man. Again, doing big things, taking over. MMA Takeover, taking over.
No pun, but every pun.
Hey, Keith, you're welcome for that tagline, buddy.
But yeah, man, that was a good one. That was a nice way to get the night. And then even after that Alex Garcia Mike Pyle fight, and I know a lot of people don't know a lot about Alex Garcia. I'm one of the few people that I heard him on a few podcasts. I'm trying to think of where it was. I want to say it might have been like the MMA Report or maybe like Ariel Helwani show. But I remember this kid, and actually it might even been.
Can I say what I thought you were about to do right there real quick?
Oh, go ahead.
I thought you were going to be sarcastic and that you had interviewed him, and I thought you were going, he was on some podcast. What was it? It was, The Loaded Joes.
Yeah.
But that's not what you did. I thought that's what you're going to do.
You thought that was the direction. I switched it up. I Cody Garbrandt you. I switched it up, and then I hit him with the, you know. No. I heard him, I think it was actually MMA Roasted podcast, which is another one of my favorite podcasts. You know, it's a funny.
Adam Hunter.
I love Adam Hunter, man. I love CB Gold is the co-host on there. He's one of our correspondents on Loaded Joes, man. So shout outs to CB Gold. But I heard him actually on that podcast, and I went to go look up a lot of his stuff. And it was before, I think maybe his last fight of the fight before that. And I just saw this kid. He the way he talks, he's like, I live at the gym. I train at the gym. I work at the, like, I just live there and I work out all the time. I'm from the Dominican. I'm a fucking grind. And I remember watching, I forget, God damn it, I'm going to go click on his name right now because it's going to eat me alive if I don't do it. I remember watching him, one of his last fights, and thinking, oh, this kid is it. The Mike Swick fight, I think that's what it was. Before he fought Mike Swick on UFC 189, I think he went on the podcast, and obviously he lost to Sean Strickland earlier this year, so probably people wrote him off. But it was before that Mike Swick fight. Everybody, it was the UFC 189 with Conor McGregor, Chad Mendez, everybody. So shout outs to that fight. But I was like, this kid is legit. He's a beast. He trains out of TriStar. He lives in the dorms over there. So all he does is eat, sleep, train with the best of them. Yeah, he might have a loss. Yeah, he's still young, up and coming, but he's 13-3, man. Like this kid is powerful. Like, you know, let me see how many knockouts this kid has, man. Like he's powerful, man. He's got 6 wins by knockout, and he's got 14 wins, 5 by submission, 3 by decision. Like that's a nice little feather in your cap, man. Especially being at the level of UFC where you're at, man. So I was high on this kid, and it was that powerful. You called it a gift knockout. It's one of those gift knockouts, man, that you share with your friends and tag like 3 or 4 people on there, and oh shit, watch this motherfucker get knocked out. And Mike Powell, I liked how you put it. His soul went to the dark realm. What would you call it, man? The nether regions. What was it?
Something along those lines. on the Fight Companion.
Yeah. I tell you, I listened to it, man. It's hilarious.
I think it was
Dark Realm or whatever the fuck.
It was like for the movie Ghost when the guy's jogging and those like demons come out and like attack the guy who's jogging. That might have been the Devil's Advocate. Either way, there's a scene in one of those movies where like these demons come out and they like grab him and like carry his soul up. Like that's what it looked like to me. Like he starts to fall and you see this just darkness leave his body and just descend out. And then he goes back and he whacks his head on the canvas, and everything just shoop and just pops back into his body.
It was serious, man. If you saw it too,
and it was scary. When it first happened, I was not making jokes. I was like, oh, okay. And then once you realize he was okay, you're like, all right, we're good. Because it looked like he could have hurt his neck. I mean, he like limp and just right on the canvas.
Yeah, Alex killed the guy.
You never want to see that.
I saw it. I said, Alex killed the guy real quick, but. And you saw it too. Like I rewatched the replay, and you notice Alex didn't hit him. I respect people for that. Like kind of that Mark Hunt. Like you drop somebody, don't hurt him anymore. Like you don't have to. Like the guy's already dead. And if you notice too on the replay, Mike Pyle grabs his head. Like he does the invisible ladder, and then he's like he grabs his head. Like you get that if you've ever got a concussion, anybody's ever hit their head hard. You grab your head just to make sure, like, it's still intact. Like, it hit him so hard. He had that ringing. I'm sure he had that ringing and sensation. It's just nasty, man.
And what Justin Peck just said. So on the recap that's going to be coming out either tomorrow or Tuesday, I did with a good buddy of mine, Scott Stokely. What I literally say, so I'm not stealing this from you. It's already recorded, already in the mixing process. But I talked about, I was like, man, like, Are we led to believe here that mullet was way more powerful than we thought it was? Because dude cuts it off and gets sent to the shadow world. And
shadow world, that's what it was.
It's the shadow world.
Yeah, man.
Dude, or shadow realm, probably. Dude gets sent to the shadow realm as soon as he cuts his mullet off. And here's the thing: you can't really say that it wasn't the mullet. Maybe you can't say the mullet had special powers, but you certainly can't say the mullet didn't have special powers, because once it was gone, dude got murked. Yeah, the magic mullet, man. Like, fuck the magic bullet. It's not the magic bullet anymore. It's the magic mullet. I mean, got just.
That's the next hottest Halloween outfit, the magic mullet. Everybody go buy you a magic mullet for Halloween. Buy it on LoudMouth MMA podcast website. Buy you a magic mullet. You look like Joe Dirt and or Mike Pyle. And shout out to Roberto Villa, man, for dropping this little dime right here. He said the new rules for
grounded opponent.
A fighter is defined as any part of the body other than a single hand and feet touching the fighting area floor. To be grounded, both hands and feet, palm or fist, down, and or any other body part must be touching the fighting area floor. At this time, kicks or knees to the head will not be allowed. Well, that clarifies the illegal hit. And again, to touch on Joe Rogan's point, I don't like how they tried to like kind of sweep it under the rug. It was an accidental knee to no, bitch. That's intentional knee. Like them's were some intentional knees going to the head.
They were intentional. Well, he even said after he said to the ref, "Yeah, I meant to knee him in the head because I believe he wasn't a grounded opponent."
Right.
So you can't say they're accident unless you're saying that ignorance of the rule is an accident. Yeah, that's the precedent. I'm a paralegal, so I'm all about precedent.
Right. I accidentally killed somebody.
Set,
yeah.
Well, the precedent that was just set was not knowing a rule is considered accidental. Like that's the precedent that you just set. Yeah. And that's not a precedent that you want set. You know what I mean?
Because I accidentally didn't make weight because I took diuretics. I accidentally, killed somebody because I put razor blades in my gloves. You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the line where it's accidents? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the line of accidents versus I intentionally am trying to do this just because ignorance is a bliss type thing? Is that?
Yeah, well, yeah, the big thing being that ignorance, and this is the same thing for if you don't know what the speed limit is. If you get pulled over and they say, yeah, the speed limit here is 55, you're going 70. And you're like, oh, I thought it was 60, and I thought it was 65. You still get a ticket if they want to, right? Because not knowing the speed limit is an excuse. That's not considered an accident. That's not a legal argument, not knowing something. So when he's literally telling the referee, Yeah, I beat him in the head because I was allowed to, because only his 2 knees were down. He didn't have 3 points of contact. And the ref should have gone, yeah, that's not the rule, though. The rule is he's a grounded opponent.
Right.
So therefore, no contest, John Jones style, you lose. You get a loss on your record.
Right.
You know, it's not a no contest, but what do they call it? A disqualify, a DQ.
It's a DQ.
Right.
And you to get that L.
Like
Just
when John Jones got DQ'd, his only loss is the DQ.
Matt Hamill, yeah, that's it.
Matt Hamill. Yeah.
But yeah, I get exactly what you mean, man. And yeah, it could have easily been that. Luckily, it was a no contest. And
Good for him. He was winning that fight. I
Yeah.
mean, he didn't even need to knee him. I mean, honestly, he could have just
punched him. Yeah.
punched him and he would have been fine. He probably would have knocked him out.
Yeah, he was winning. He was winning that fight. He was winning that fight. It was. I liked how you said. I like how you said on your podcast. It was like he wasn't dominating that fight, but for you to say, when you say, like, even just as when you're talking with somebody, it wasn't this, but it kind of was this. Like, it wasn't he was dominating, but in a way he kind of was. Like, you couldn't show that fight to somebody and be like, well, he kind of wasn't dominating, because he kind of was, but it wasn't all the way in the sense where it was, you know, Anderson Silva Forrest Griffin domination.
It wasn't lopsided.
Yeah,
it wasn't a lopsided. But Tim Means was winning that round, and winning it pretty handily, but it wasn't lopsided.
Right, exactly it, man. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, man. Like that was.
Yeah, there's probably nothing else on the card that was really worth.
There was that one, that Antonio Carlos Jr. and Martin Benton, but nobody cares about that one. I'm sure
I like Vettori. I like Vettori as a fighter. I like him as a little prospect. And conversely, really not a Carlos Jr. fan. I'm really unhappy to see him win, because that means he's going to be getting another fight, which I was not looking forward to.
Right.
But I think Vettori should bounce back. He's young. He's a young guy out of Italy. Very, very good. Very talented.
Nice, man.
So,
I don't know him that well. I'll take your word for it. Okay. He looked good. He never looked like out of the fight. He just looked like he got taken down and owned on the ground a little bit, you know. But
Carlos Jr. did a perfect game plan.
Yep.
Good for him.
Yep.
But not excited for his next fight. But he did a perfect game.
Good for him.
Yeah. I will not be watching that fight with excitement.
I will be putting that on mute and go and do some other shit. And but yeah, man. Well, Kyle, this is real late for you. It's even late for me over here. But thank you so much for coming on, brother. You know, we'll try and do these for all the big pay-per-views, the pre and post. And thank you so much for all the time, Kyle. Where can people find you on social media? Shout out to your sponsors. Tell people where they can find your porn videos, all that good stuff, man.
Awesome. Yeah, so first of all, I want to do my sponsors, In the Loop Sports. That's the letter N, theloopsports.com. Definitely go check it out. Go to the LoudMouth MMA tab, and you will see, write-ups on some of our podcasts. You can also find our podcast there if you don't want to listen to it on SoundCloud or iTunes or wherever else we have our podcast. But for the most part, our podcast is available just about everywhere. The only place it is not is YouTube. But anywhere else you can find it. We're going to start putting them on YouTube, but that's just even more work than I'm already doing. It's pretty much a one-man show. So with the exception of the guy who does my marketing, Phil, who's fantastic, awesome. That's one of the reasons why I've been able to get the interviews I get. So good for him. But other than that, it's pretty much a one-man show, so I don't have enough time to upload everywhere I need to. So yeah, you can find the podcast pretty much anywhere. Obviously, the biggest ones being Stitcher, iTunes, and SoundCloud. You can follow me on Twitter at LoudMouth MMA. You can follow me on Facebook at LoudMouth MMA. I went ahead and put a link in the chat, so you can click on that link and go like our page, which I would greatly appreciate. We need to start trying to. I'm boosting up my Twitter, but my Facebook is lagging behind, so I need to start boosting the Facebook page up. My other sponsor, the Harmony Acre Soap Company, they are wonderful. Really, I mean, I have like awful skin. I don't know if you can see the video, but I have pretty bad skin, always have, and it's legitimately helping my skin out. Like legitimately, like no bullshit. Like it's been a pretty life-changing product. So I really appreciate them coming on board, and I got some more sponsors coming. Sorry if that was a loud noise, but so yeah, I think. Let me think. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean Twitter. We have an Instagram now, but I don't use it.
Yeah, I saw you
should, but I don't. Yeah, but I don't use it. I just went ahead and added everybody, but I haven't started using it yet. But I will eventually. But the main thing is definitely keep listening to the episodes. I mean, we're getting numbers that I never expected. I mean, I honestly can say, like, with absolute humility, that I legitimately just didn't expect this. You know, we released our first episode in early November, and the interviews I've been able to get because people are listening is just, I can't even wrap my mind around it, man. It's incredible. And doing shit like this is so much fun. Like, I had a blast. I'm tired. I got to get up with my newborn. You know, it's on the weekends. It's my turn to get up with the kid at night. So, you know, I work during the week. Like I said, I mentioned I was a paralegal. So,
Yeah.
you know, I work during the week. So the weekends are my time. So I will probably be awake again at about 3 and then awake again at 6. So I'm not getting any sleep tonight, but it's worth it, man. This is fantastic.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. I'm glad you came on. And shout outs to Roberto saying y'all are in the running for fan favorite. Y'all definitely got my vote, man. I definitely love everything you do. Kyle, thank you so much. Respect to you, brother. And yeah, man, we're going to keep doing this thing as long as we can, man. Thank you so much for all your time. And Happy New Year's to you, man. And we'll catch up with you, and I'll stay in touch and all that good stuff, my man.
Happy New Year's, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, peace.